One quick note for the New Jersey Devils. At the end of last game, Randy McKay and Hughes were both given game misconducts. That would have meant that Randy McKay would have been his second game misconduct, and in the playoffs, that means you automatically miss a game. It was just a misinterpretation between the referee and the scorekeeper. They were just given 5-minute fighting penalties and told to leave the ice. There was no game misconduct for Randy McKay or for Hughes.
Nichols starts as the center for Jacques Lemaire's Devils with McLean and Lemieux, Stevens and Danico. It is Oates, Murray, and Hughes, as well as Sweeney and Bourque. And this is Sweeney. Sweeney fed one across, tipped away by Danico, and Hughes will drop back to get it.
It will be interesting to see what emotion for the Boston Bruins is picked up from Coach Sutter. So many of the Boston Bruin players are saying that they really were feeding off the emotion that Sutter had at the end of that game.
Pivoting with this is Oates, drops it back in. Danico there. Around to take it is Murray. Murray checked off by Bernie Nichols. Coming by is John McLean. Puck over to Oates. Oates over to Hughes. Hughes back to the point to Bourque. Shoots one. Deflected in front and tipped back to neutral ice. Well, is this the typical first 10-minute concern on the part of the visitors from New Jersey about the Bruin tempo?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you're in this building, this is how Boston likes to come out. The Devils need to play solid, strong defensive play and probably get a couple of big saves from Terreri.
Pivoting with this as Donato goes down. Danico trying to take it away up the board. Shoves Donato and presses him. Murray hit by, that time it was Bobby Carpenter, sent around by Stevens. Brushed further by Richer. Around to Scott Stevens again. Stevens lays a little pass to Lemieux. Floats it back out. A minute and 20 seconds have passed here. No score in the game, and still we look for our first shot on goal. Puck off of Donato. Drilled back into the seats by Jason Smith. And so play is stopped.
For the Devils, as we saw, no lineup changes on defense for the Devils tonight's game. Adam Oates, who had an assist in last game, but really the Devils have done a pretty good job of keeping him off the scoreboard. So far in the 3 games, Oates has no goals, 3 assists, but you got to remember this guy had 112 points during the regular season. There
Bobby,
he is.
Go ahead.
There he is, number 18, Brent Hughes, the man who started all that action in Game 3 when the score was 3-1, and it did pick up the tempo for the rest of that game.
Bobby Carpenter, Tom Chorsky, as well as Stefan Richer is the front line, and the line change for Jacques Lemaire's Devils. Smith and Albaline the defense. David Shaw goes back. He and Wesley the defense for the Bruins, and the pass comes over to him. And up front they go with Hines as well as Ted Donato and Brian Smolinski. Jason Smith with a pass on now to Richer. Tucks a pass over for Tom Chorsky. 2-goal scorer last game. And he had an assist to go along with it, and he's sent down by Shaw. Back up the boards, a pass tipped away and thrown right back along by Ben Hankinson, playing in his very first Stanley Cup playoff game.
Hankinson played 13 games for the Devils during the regular season. He had just 1 goal, but he's a big, strong, tough kid.
Jammed right back in for Casey to swing right through Iafrate and back out. And so it's Zelapukin just angling it back in. Took the obligatory hit from Marois. Puck played by Gordy Roberts. Veteran defenseman leading it back out to center ice for the Bruins. Slams it back in deep. Right there to flick it along his driver. To send it further is Dowd. They chase again, and it's Stewart. And along, but tipped back in by Hankinson. All of this on a delayed offside that's whistled down. On the Modell scoreboard, 2:44 gone in the first period here at Boston Garden. 0-0.
To be a great time to break for the great taste of Bud Light. It's a big hit with fans everywhere because it won't fill you up and it never lets you down, so make it a Bud Light.
Brian Sutter said this morning, the press has called this the neutral zone trap. We just call it neutral zone checking. The Devils did it real well, and the way to break it, it was speed. If we skate harder, we can break it. We'll see. Stumple, checked off by Randy McKay. And it came to Danico. Danico shoveled it right back in deep, and Gordy Roberts goes to get it. Roberts spun one along. Mariusz Czerkowski gave it up to Driver, and a shot right on goal becomes the first shot of the game. 3 minutes and 10 seconds in. Stumple moves in, has Czerkowski breaking. Stumple, shot, save! Terreri, rebound, jammed into a pile. Picked up by Iafrate, step to the front. Rockets a shot off the glass support wide. Tipped on along and gotten by Stumple. Ricocheted off Bobby Holik, and the Bruins in the midst of a change, and the Devils are too. Czerkowski flops it back in, and Ken Danico to play.
And much like the Buffalo series, where during the course of the series you find out about a team and some of the key players, we're learning about the Boston Bruins during this playoff series. some of the players, Joseph Stumple, for example, we haven't heard much of, but he has been very, very solid.
McLean a shot, and a moving screen was Nichols, and the block by Casey. Now it is Borg, captain of the Bruins, sends a pass back ahead that's wormed on by Hughes, tried for Oates and failed. Niedermeyer sends it around behind. Fans wanted a penalty. Murray put it behind. Nichols there to get it. Bernie Nichols pivoting for New Jersey up the boards, hoping to tip, and succeeding in doing that was John McLean, and so it's Sweeney. Flying it along for Cam Stewart to put back in. Out of his net, Terreri dumped it back off. Kept alive by Hughes. McLean sent down by Hughes. Puck picked up by Oates. Adam Oates with the drop. Shoveled to the front. Tipped by Murray. Loose puck is picked up by Bernie Nichols. Down to the ice, Terreri. McLean looking there as Hughes and Terreri must have collided. We don't know it was with the force as last time. Wesley a shot caught and held by Terreri, and play is stopped. And Terreri having a word with Don Koharski, shakes his head, he's okay.
So that was a very good shift by the Boston Bruins. Interesting lineup here for Brian Sutter. We've got Oates, the playmaker, with the two grinders, Murray and Hughes. This line with Hughes and Murray usually it's been Stumple centering these two guys. Tonight we have Hughes with Murray with Oates in the middle. And it looks like they're going to the net, just crashing down on Chris Terreri, and Oates just trying to control the things from the outside.
Part of what happened with Hughes there, as we could see in that replay, was he was given a little bit of a twist as he went to the net. Might have had a little extra in it because he successfully tripped up Terreri and trying to get back too. So Terreri taking a look out at this face-off that his team wins. Jason Smith, first-year defenseman for the New Jersey Devils, to Carpenter to Richer. Fires, and that one shrugged away casually into the seats by John Casey, and the shots are even at 3. When you can stick handle like Richer can, and you've got a bullet to boot, that lesser space that's out there just puts you closer to the goalie quicker.
Well, Stéphane Richer, of course, playing with the Montreal Canadiens. He played a lot of games in this building. And after experience does help in this building because you learn the little things that help you to get your shot away. And one of them is don't worry about where you are once you get over the blue line, especially with a shot like Richer. Just let it go, because any shot from inside the blue line would probably be a pretty good one.
Snapped, and it deflected wide. Jason Smith let that go. Albeline kept it alive and played it around. Tom Jaworski yanked it behind. Carpenter there to get it. Centered one. It's blocked aside by Iafrate, and a penalty coming up to the Bruins. The first power play of the game belongs to New Jersey on a charging call at 5:05 of the first.
Well, Knipscher came out to take a run at Jason Smith, and then he went all the way back in to knock down Stéphane Richer. And this is what we were talking about at the top of the show. Control, composure, not running around too much. You'll see right here. Watch the left side of your screen. Richer will come in. The puck never really got out to Richer, and he was knocked down from behind. Now, these are the ones with the Devils. They have a little more experience up front. Their forwards, the Devils forwards, been around the National Hockey League a little longer. They're not as likely as the Bruins forwards to maybe make those emotional plays.
Penalty, Knipscher a charge at 5 minutes and 5 seconds. The Devils on the power play. They've had a power play in all 3 of the games in this series, and in the 7th game against Buffalo. So they carry a 4-game streak. Centering pass in front, and Zelepukin with a great opportunity, and we get a stoppage of play.
Well, Stéphane Richer was with Ray Bourque. And it looks as though Bourque took it obviously up in the face area. Now Ray wears a visor, so hopefully it was nowhere near the eye. Ray Bourque playing in his 150th. Let's have a look right here. 150th playoff game. Oh, that was the puck. Okay. Well, that's not okay, but certainly one of those situations you cannot blame Stéphane Richer. As Bourque went to snap it out of the zone, Richer just threw his stick on it. The puck came right up, and it looks like it got Ray right in the mouth. Boy. I don't remember if Ray has ever lost any teeth.
When did he go to the visor? Do you remember?
I really don't. I don't remember if it's a particular injury that he had or it was just the fact that after seeing so many players get injured over the course of 15 years, eventually decided it'd be a good idea. Looks to be all right.
Saw just a moment ago the play that led to this power play for the Devils, a Knipscher charge. Devils on this power play has just gotten underway. Puck to the back now. Sent over to Scott Stevens. Dumped off now for Jim Dowd. Dowd with a goal a game in the last 2 contests. Jim Dowd, look, shovels one that's cut off by Reed and iced.
And both of Jimmy Dowd's goals have been big ones for the Devils. The one goal he had, the first one, his first ever playoff goal, came in Game 2, gave the Devils a third period 4-3 lead. The other one was a 1-1 goal last game in the first period.
Devils whip it around pretty well. Pass sent back to Stevens. Stevens side of the net now for Richer. Weak pass though. Tip Stevens. Nice keep. Scott Stevens able to wheel it to the other side. Deals over to Zelepukin. Finesses in deep to Richer. Richer back over to Stevens and a shot. Deflected in front. Oh, and it couldn't be tucked in. Richer was trying at the side of the net. Back it comes now to Stevens again. Right back onto Richer. Halfway through the power play. Zelepukin a shot that's off a leg. Don Sweeney shaken up by that as the Devils recoil again. It's Driver hurrying it on to Scott Stevens. It skipped through and Wesley takes over. Glenn Wesley wants to make them chase, and he will. Boy, the Devils' passing was just superb on that first thrust of the power play. Bernie Nichols is out now, along with Lemieux. Niedermeyer to work with Scott Stevens, except he's coming to the bench. Nichols in with a drive. Casey made that stop. Puck worked back to the point. Niedermeyer there, along now to Albeline. Played along the boards by John McLean. In deep for Nichols. Run by Iafrate. Puck tip to the back. Shot by Albeline. Save! Rebound. Trying to pull it loose was McLean, but Casey had it sealed.
Iafrate and Nichols in front of the net got all that action started. Mike, both you and I watched from different areas this morning, the morning skate, and I think we came away with exactly the same opinion. One, the Boston Bruins seemed to be not carefree, but there was a very sort of light feel to their morning skate. And then completely different for the Devils. I don't think I've seen a more intense morning skate for the Devils all season.
It was remarkably quiet and remarkably serious, and that was the real contrast, as you mentioned, with Boston's, which was just the other way.
Yeah, and I think it just reflects possibly the fact that the Devils realize they have a chance to really take this series back, and how important this game is. And for the Bruins, they're just a younger group, and especially up front.
Don Sweeney fires it off, and it is Reed. 12 seconds still to kill, but the Bruins with an attack. Broken down in an offside. So 13:04 to go here in the first, and 10 seconds still to go.
We just had a look at Al Iafrate's tattoo. He'll be Stan's guest later in this hockey game. Al Iafrate, of course, coming over from the Washington Capitals, who face elimination tonight, down 3-0 against the New York Rangers. The winner of this series will meet the winner of their Washington Capital New York Rangers series in the Stanley Cup semifinals.
Dan Maloney here tonight, part of the New York Rangers organization, watching this contest. It is Albeline with a pass on now to Chorsky. Tips one in that's too far for Carpenter. Fed around by Casey. Pinching in is Richer, taken away by Oates. Oates lays it back ahead. It's Bourque on with it there. Bourque pivoting. Off of Oates, kicked loose by Murray, stepped into by Chorsky. Chorsky went down. Played along by Knipscher, along now for Oates. Oates playing it on back for Bourque. 12.5 to go in the first. Oates dancing by. Couldn't get by them all, and a chance for Chorsky. Bruins in the midst of a change. Chorsky in. Wrist shot pad stop made by Casey. Iafrate jammed it off. Bobby Holik took it away, trying to step back in. Fought every inch of the way by Iafrate. Holik with a shot that trickled wide behind. Randy McKay with it. McKay for Danico, and he fanned on the shot. Driver will come back, and he'll get some help from his goalkeeper.
There's been good hockey in this game so far, but there has not been the hitting, the running around that we expected at the end of last game from the stuff that happened in the last minute of Game 3.
Casey turned it right back around again. Big hit by Mike Peluso. Then it's tipped back ahead. Hines collides with McKay. Well, it's not surprising the hitting would pick up if you take a look at who's out here now. Back around for Hines again. Trickled away from Driver. Striding back to get it is Ken Danico. Hines right after him. Danico dropped it off nicely to Driver. Miss for Holik. Neutralized play comes from Shaw. David Shaw cranks it off the glass, and it plopped right near Driver. Under 11 and a half to go, first period. No score. Striding ahead is Hankinson. Can he get there? Hankinson tucked a pass in front that came right back across for a play by Smolinski. Cut though by Zelepukin. Dances back in. Zelepukin shoots. He scores! The fakes were coming. The head fakes all over the place, and he was able to step right by and lift it in. What a beautiful goal by Valeri Zelepukin. And it is 1-0 in favor of the Devils.
Now, I don't know if Valeri Zelepukin has ever played that much against Casey, but the one thing, the book on Casey is he will charge. Once he starts coming out, he will really come out. You see how far he was out for that shot. He was already at the bottom of the circle. Zelepukin on a miscommunication on a play by the Boston Bruins, and all of a sudden Zelepukin makes a gorgeous, and he didn't have much of an angle by the time he finally shot that puck. Picks up his second goal of the playoffs.
Time of the goal, 8:47. It is Bourque peeling back. First goal of the game to the New Jersey Devils as they try to get the series back even again and turn it into a best-of-3. Along the boards, battling for it, Dowd and Bourque. And we get a halt to play on a hand pass, and so the clock stopped. On the Modell scoreboard, midway in the first period, Zelepukin's goal, the only one.
That Zelepukin had to beat to get this puck in the net. Casey forced him wide. And there's only about 2.5 feet from that bottom of that circle to the goal line, so the angle is closing quickly. And all of a sudden, Zelepukin gets it up over perfectly for the Devils' 1-0 lead.
Carpenter wins it back. Stevens to Niedermeyer, and once again back out. Ray Bourque, the captain of the Bruins, takes over there. 10:45 to go, first period. 1-0, the Devils ahead. Bourque once more. First 10 minutes, the dangerous ones, at least in the perception of the visitor and how they plan and what they look for during the period of time from the end of one game to the beginning of another. Those first 10 minutes are almost over. Then 50 to go. Puck laid back along now for Cherkovsky. Slams a shot that struck one of the advertisements on the facade of the balcony.
Well, so far in this series, the home club has not won a hockey game. And Mike, I was going over some of this, just the stats about the home and away. In round one, that was the 8 series that preceded this, that were the start of the playoffs. The home club won 28, the visitors won 20. But in round two, after everyone had won their first series, and now we get into the second one, the home club in the first 12 games has only won 4 games. This series here has no home ice victories, and the Vancouver-Dallas series, which is now 2-1 for the Vancouver Canucks, they have no home ice victories.
You figure better matchups once you get to the second round might be part of the reason for that?
I think they're obviously going to be closer, you'd think, the matchups because of the fact that both clubs played good enough hockey to win that first round.
Bourque and Don Koharski collided at center ice. That was the reaction you may have heard from the fans while play was going on. Meanwhile, this is Casey turning it along now for Hughes. Rattles it around the boards. Oates goes to get that. Oates moving back out. Little pass on to Bourque. Fires a shot. Pad stop made by Terreri. Oates a drive. Another stop made by Terreri. McLean flips it back. Iafrate sends it the other way through Oates and back down. Albaline going back to get it. Tommy Albaline, defenseman for the Devils, connecting on with Lemieux. Trip up of Knipscher will send Lemieux into the box, and Boston will get its first power play of the game.
Well, so far in the 10 playoff games for the New Jersey Devils, the power plays and the specialty teams have been absolutely superb. It is the one area for the Devils that they can have no complaints. The power play goal for the Devils has been a big factor in almost all of their victories. But the penalty killing has been solid, and that's what they need right now to keep this score a 1-0 lead.
The Devils have killed off all but 3 of the last 32. An irony is that the Devils are first in playoff minutes, and the Bruins, in average, are at the very bottom of the 16 teams that have competed for the Stanley Cup so far. Devils pick up minutes 2:52 and 2:53. Stevens can't get it out. Iafrate holds. Smolinski. Iafrate. Shoveled one in front, deflected wide by Donato. It is Smolinski. Given a good hit by Danico. Stumple. Along to Smolinski again. Donato at the front. Stumple trying to stick handle in front. Oh, and a remarkable save made by Terreri and a jam up at the front of the net. Chris Terreri reached across with his left arm and took away a sure goal for the Bruins.
Well, Mike, in the pregame show, you showed the saves that Terreri made late in that game to keep the score 3-2. Eventually, Chorsky scored to make it 4-2. And you have to remember again that Chris Terreri, that was only his second start since April 1st. He had one late season start against the Philadelphia Flyers. He did not start against the Buffalo Sabres in the first 7 games. He did not start the first 2 games. So he was coming in cold. And this is a real testament to Terreri and his ability to stay sharp, stay focused, stay involved when basically it looks like the other guy is going to be the goaltender for the playoffs.
30 seconds have been killed by Terreri and the Devils. Iafrate a scorcher, and Terreri blocked that one. He could see it all the way. Stevens took care of Oates. Nichols trying to take care of the puck. Stevens as well. It pops over to Nichols, and he clears. Bruins make a change. Iafrate comes to the bench. Hopping over the boards is Wesley to work with Bourque when they get the point set up. Bourque walking it on. Little pass across. Albaline tried to get to it, could not. Wesley pinches in, rocked by Nichols. Wesley dueling again. Oates and Albaline test for it in the corner. Back to the point it comes to Glenn Murray. Deals it back off to Wesley. Shoveled one in front. It went off Oates. Oates to the corner, looking for Murray. Now to the point, Wesley. Bounced one that is scooped up by Terreri, and he'll wait. 10 shots apiece, 8:09 to go in the period, and 44 seconds still left on the Bruin power play.
One thing for the Boston Bruins last game, Wesley, Iafrate, and Bourque. Now they had a majority of shots for the Boston Bruins. The Bruins had 27 shots on goal last game. Just a combination of Iafrate and Bourque had 12 of them, which means a lot of shots are coming from the point, and it could be on purpose, it could be a game plan, but it also means that the forwards for the Boston Bruins have to get the shots on Chris Terreri also.
Oates chased out because of encroachment at the edge of the circle, and I believe by Smolinski. So Smolinski comes in, and Bobby Carpenter for the faceoff. And it's won by Carpenter, along for Niedermayer, and then Stevens sends it back. So 40 seconds still for the Devils to kill. Overall in the series, the Bruins are 2 for 13 on the power play. Ray Bourque bringing it on. Rattles one around the glass. Shrugged right down by Terreri. Dealt further. Carpenter able to flick it back down. A good kill so far after Terreri made that splendid arm save.
And of all the areas where Cam Neely has missed for the Boston Bruins, this would be the key one. The power play, him standing in front, pouncing on those rebounds, just causing problems for the Devils.
Tipped by Niedermayer to the back to Wesley. Over to Bourque. Wesley shovels one, deflected high. Adam Oates working the front of the net, but the puck came to Lemieux right out of the box. Claude Lemieux moving in. Wrist shot went wide, did not miss by that much. Smolinski just hustled it on back. Lemieux there, locked up by Bourque, and help came from Smolinski. Still trouble, and Bourque drops back further. So the Devils killed off the penalty, and they play at full strength action. Neutral ice, and Driver plopping it back in. Shift change now for New Jersey. Ben Hankinson comes out to work with Zelepukin and Dowd. Driver in back with Danico. If you're just joining us, 1-0 the score. An unassisted goal by Zelepukin at 8:47. Pass across to Stewart. Sprawling play made by Hankinson. Stewart again, and that one blocked away by Terreri. Dealt along. Zelepukin held off. Marois flipped one that bounced off Terreri. Dowd was right in front of him. Around the boards, Dowd hit a couple of times. Still they scrap for it. Knipscher had it forced away by Danico. Zelepukin tests with Marois. Driver tried to play it ahead. Hard work on the boards by these two teams. Zelepukin trying to muscle it out. It is Driver again. He's able to step out with it and hand to Zelepukin. Valeri Zelepukin stepping around, trying to get through. Down to the ice he went. Play continues, though. Puck jam behind. Going for it is Hankinson. Another try maybe for Zelepukin. Shuffleboard one that pitched right on back behind the goal. And is controlled by Marois and dropped off. Played right back again to Daniel Marois of the Bruins. They trail in the game 1-0. Just under 6 minutes to go in the first. Pivoting with this is Al Iafrate. Devils in the midst of a change of forwards. It's angled right in on Terreri, and he shovels it off to Driver. Bruce Driver's pass tipped by Peluso. Flipped along by Holik. Tipped right back. Cherkasky a shot. Sealed by Terreri. And now the Devils defense can make a change. They're ahead 1-0.
Who had the first goal of this hockey game, the only goal of the hockey game, almost gets through. Iafrate just strong enough and long enough to be able to poke the puck away from Zelepukin.
Marvelous effort. He has the game's only goal. 12 shots for the Bruins, 11 for the Devils. Around it comes to Randy McKay. Held back by Stumple. Stepping by is Bobby Holik with Peluso. Pitches it in, and Casey out and back with a big goal stick to send it for Cherkasky. Battle on the boards again. Coming up with it is Stumple. Moving ahead with Reed. Pass broken up by Albeline. Help came from Peluso, and they nudge it back out. Sweeney on a cross to Ray Bourque. Bourque cranks one around that skipped behind Terreri. Had to be kicked back to him by Albeline and dangerously near the front. But it's Stumple pivoting with it. Stumple. Oh, and Cherkasky with a quick shot. Stumple with a beautiful pass to set him. Peluso flips it on the backhand, and it skipped out of play off a Devil at the bench. And so for that reason, the clock is stopped, and the faceoff will be back near Terreri.
We haven't seen a lot of the banging that you may have expected this game. And one of the facts is that both teams are working hard to help each other out. A lot of times the Devils have gone into the corner. The puck has been there. Someone is holding up the guy that wants to get in there and forecheck. It's just giving the players a little extra time to get the puck and get it out of the zone.
So Sweat and Will a lot of times just can't get you the hits that you want. In the case of the Bruins, we sensed, and you in particular, that they wanted some hits coming early in this game. They didn't really get them yet.
Chris Terreri, who went after Brent Hughes last game, got a 4-minute penalty. Says the first time in 8 years he's ever got that mad on the ice.
Murray, score!
Well, a new line for the Boston Bruins. All of a sudden, one little mistake in assignments by the Devils frees up Murray. And Murray, who had 18 goals during the regular season, picks up his 3rd power play goal. And this was a guy halfway through the season was struggling. He picked it up the last part of the year, and coming into the playoff has been one of the very best Boston Bruin forwards.
So we are deadlocked again. Back at square one with 4:50 to go in the first period. Glenn Murray's 3rd of the playoffs. First goal of the series, his 3rd point. A shot deflected away by Terreri through a screen from Shaw. Stevens tried to duck out of the way. Hughes was after him. Carpenter steps into Hughes. Puck to Niedermeyer. Scott Niedermeyer stripped of it by Oates. Adam Oates centered one, and it went off Stevens and is played by Richer. Dangerous moment there for the Devils. Richer nicely able to roll it through Oates and keep going. Here's Richer, wrist shot, and that one deflected away by Casey. Right out in front, and Casey traps it with a glove.
Richer, a great move at his own blue line, and then another good solid move to get a shot on Casey. And once again, the game started out a little bit slowly, has been picking up. All of these games, if there's been one thing that's been consistent in these hockey games, it's the fact that they've started off a little slowly, the first 4 games of this playoff series, and have picked up as the game has gone along.
Does that tempo increase disadvantage one team?
Well, last game, the Devils appeared to be the faster club because they moved the puck quicker through the center ice zone. The Devils themselves clogged up the center ice zone, didn't allow Boston to use their team speed. And that was one of the reasons why Brian said at the end of the game, said we looked slow because of just the tempo of the game the Devils were able to set.
Icing called against New Jersey. The assists on the Murray goal go to Oates and Wesley at 15:06. So Zelepukin unassisted at 8:47, the other scoring play in this period.
Well, at USA Arena, the Washington Capitals are down already. First shot on net, New York Rangers go ahead 1-0. Goal scorer, Adam Graves.
That's at least the 4th time in their 8 games, at least the 4th, and maybe there have been others, that they have scored on their first shot. Here's Driver, then McKay, and out. Nice finesse move by Sweeney, and it's brought back on by Smolinski, missed for Hines, and back in. Danico stalemated by Smolinski, down to the ice he went, ahead with it Bobby Holik. Holik back for the tip by McKay, back down. Peluso hustling back on Bork. Casey had to tend that. Bork able to pivot away. Up the boards to the turning Ted Donato. Donato bounced one back. Danico gives it on across to Bruce Driver. Fires one that's right on goal and deflected to the high glass by Casey. Peluso put it behind. Randy McKay there around to Bobby Holik. Holik has to go to the corner to get it. He and Bork tie up. And it is Stumple. Nice little wedge of a pass out. They've got a 3-on-2. Moving on is Hines. Pass came right to Danico. Slugged right on the stick of Bobby Holik. Holik bumped off by Stumple. Tries to keep going, and the puck squirted through to Iafrate. 2 aside. Continue the war along the wall. Puck tipped back near Albaline, but collected by Zelapukin to Bobby Holik. And a shot deflected away by Iafrate. McKay sealed up by Sweeney. Holik trying to outduel Stumple behind the net. The puck hopped back over for a play to be made by Sweeney as he brings it up. 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the period as that one went to the glass. Albaline off a glove. Bouncing puck taken by Dowd, and they rule it was played by a high stick. And so play stopped. On the Modell scoreboard here at Boston Garden, our game is tied at 1.
It's been dump and run and play the body. Right here, Don Sweeney takes Peluso into the end boards. And the hitting for both clubs getting a little more solid. I think that the teams came out after last game kind of wondering how is the other team going to react. That sort of stopped around the 7.5, 8 minute mark of this hockey game. And since then, it's been a hard fought, lots of hitting in this game.
Jason Smith pumped it back out, and Roberts goes to get it. Dowd, Zelapukin, and Ben Hankinson the line for the New Jersey Devils. Pass steamed on across. Cherkowski with trouble. Albaline tried to flip it. Cherkowski got it. Lifted a prayer to the corner that Hankinson will go to get. Ben Hankinson just flops it back out. Iafrate gloved it down. Hankinson flipped it out again, and a lot of play in neutral ice, but now Cherkowski trying to get by, and Smith won't let him. Albaline flicked it back out. Roberts goes back to get it. Just over 2 minutes to play first period. If you're just joining us, it is a 1-1 tie between the Devils and the Bruins. The best of 7 series has the Bruins ahead 2 games to 1. Now it's Stevens, then on to Dowd, right back up the wing to Chorsky in a 2-on-2. Chorsky over to Stefan Richer. Richer slammed one that went wide, partly deflected by Shaw. Sent around behind. Chorsky locked up with Roberts, who wedged a one-hand pass to Cherkowski. And back out now to Shaw again. Eyed up by Niedermeyer. Shaw trying to get by. Nice cross body block by Niedermeyer. Carpenter along to Richer. Just a little pull of the puck, and away he goes. Richer hawked by Oates. Swung off his stick by Adam Oates, and Shaw plays. Good forechecking by Bobby Carpenter, but it's Oates up with it. All-American out of RPI, put it off Richer, and then Carpenter trying to step back around. But offside is called. Check downstairs in our studio with Stan Fischler. Stan?
Well, my guess at the end of the first period will be Al Iafrate, who was getting a lot of ink in the papers. Boston players were saying that they would like to move the puck as fast as possible around the Devils' net. The reason they know, Chris Terreri is one of the best stick-handling goaltenders in the NHL. They say he does it better than Martin Brodeur. So far, it hasn't worked that well for them. A couple of notes, Devils having a little trouble with some clearing passes, but on the whole, they've been okay. Mike, Peter?
Okay, Stan, Danico fired one back in. In the regular season, Stan Fischler gave Iafrate the opportunity to pick from a series of tattoos that he had. They were temporaries. Al did make a choice. I don't know if the same thing will happen tonight. Pivoting with this now is Hughes. Hughes swung one around. Adam Oates wanted to walk in, and then Danico got there. Oates around behind, still holding. Adam Oates with a pass, and it went off the leg of Hughes. John McLean starts it back. Little pass on to Bernie Nichols. Nichols cruising and looking for a pass. Dealt one along. Lemieux a shot, and that one snuffed out by Hughes. Oh! And Lemieux is hit high and hard by Murray, and we get a stoppage of play.
At the end of last game, we saw that good, clean, solid hit by Murray right there on Claude Lemieux. Talking to the players from both clubs after the game, it was Claude Lemieux that Brian Sutter was most upset with at the end of that Game 3. And some of the Devils players were saying, geez, it was really surprising that he was that mad at Claude Lemieux. He never really says anything.
So the two of them go to their respective benches for a rest. Olik, Zelepukin are among those back out with McKay. Tommy Alvaline dips the shoulder, trying to walk around in front, and a shot was directed wide off a skate. Brought back up now by Hines. McKay took it away from him. Ted Donato flung it right back in, and stepping to it is Alvaline. Alvaline tried to punch it along, now wants to hold a man up as Hines takes it. Couldn't get the pass through. Alvaline dueling with Hines again, and it's Olik. McKay locks up his man. With it is Bobby Holik again, and he's able to steam it back out. Bork will go back to take it in the final 3 seconds of the period. The first is history.
Pretty much as we expected. Not a lot of extra stuff, but some good, hot, solid checking by both of these hockey clubs.
Zelepukin and Murray were the goal scorers, and in the shots on goal department in the first period, there were a total of 27. 14 by the Bruins, 13 by the Devils. The first period has come to a close, tied at 1.
Cup playoff action continues at the Meadowlands on Monday, May 9th. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference playoffs between the Boston Bruins and the New Jersey Devils will continue on that night, Monday, May 9th. Tickets are marked Round 2, Game G, and are available at the Meadowlands Arena box office and all Ticketmaster ticket outlets.
Here again at Boston Garden, first period, and I think the one thing that we expected was more hitting at the start. We didn't get it at the start, but as things progressed, we got a lot.
Well, I think both clubs saw how well the power plays could be for both these hockey clubs, and they cannot afford to let the other clubs dominate with power play goals.
Stan Fischler is downstairs with Al Iafrate.
Well, Al, you know, I was watching in the first game. You scored a goal and you didn't smile. Now, that tells me that you are either super cool, super confident, or what? How come you don't smile when you score anymore?
I don't know, I guess probably because I was a little banged up a little bit, but, you know, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy when I can help the team, you know, win.
So it was just being a little bit cool. Let me ask you this. You said publicly you always shoot for the 5-hole. Now, is that a bit of applesauce, or is that really the truth?
No, that's the truth. You know, it's the first place I look, because every goalie I ever talked to said, you know, when a guy's skating in and, you know, going back and forth side to side, you know, he's got to move side to side too, and you know, he can't move across with his legs together, basically. And, you know, he can have his stick on the ice, but there's always that little bit of, you know, triangle there. And if I get enough applesauce on the shot, you know, it can usually bounce around and hopefully it goes in. And lately it's been, you know, going in pretty good. But with Patrick, the first series there with Montreal, I had, geez, 30 shots in, you know, 7 games. And, you know, he stopped every one of them except for one. And, you know, that kind of kept us alive in Game 6 there.
We thought this first period was going to be a little bit meaner than it turned out to be so far. A lot of talk in the newspapers. Your view of the period?
I thought it was pretty even. You know, both teams, I think, you know, worked pretty hard and, you know, tried to play physical. You know, not a lot of stuff after the whistle. Just, you know, when guys were around the goalie, that's going to happen any time of year. But, you know, I think both teams are trying to play physical, and no one wants to, you know, do something that's going to give the other team an edge. But, you know, I think both teams are going to play better as the game goes on, and, you know, I think the team that capitalizes on the opportunities they get, you know, is the team that's going to come out on top.
Al, in the Boston Globe, one of the priceless Iafrate quotes, you said hockey is a barbaric sport. What do you mean by that?
Just, you know, we're kind of like gladiators out there. It's, you know, you have blades on your feet and your balance is, you know, it's good and everything, but you don't have the same as when you're on your feet with skates on, and, you know, you're in like a little box. You know, there's, you know, you don't get to run out of bounds. You know, there's, you know, boards you're getting hit into that don't move. There's sticks, you know, coming up in your face all the time. Guys hooking you, you know, and guys hitting you while another guy's hooking you. I just think it's the best of everything. The speed, the contact, you know, the camaraderie between a team. I think it's the best of everything. I think it's the greatest sport in the world.
Thanks for coming. And next time we're going to talk about your desire to be a guitar player, which I know is very keen. We'll have more right after this.
Summary. Valeri Zelepukin unassisted at 8:47. Then it was Glenn Murray with a slapper from Oates and Wesley at 15:06. Intermission highlights brought to you by the United States Postal Service.
Zelepukin, who had the first goal of the game in Game 2 for the Devils, also gets the first goal of the game in this one, Game 4. Watch the move to the outside. Zelepukin has a look right here, the fake. And again, how tough the angle was when Zelepukin finally turned and shot that puck past Casey to give the Devils a 1-0 lead.
Chris Terreri, small goaltender, has been tremendous, especially in close. During that first period, he faced 14 shots, and there were some tough ones. One in particular stands out.
And again, Chris Terreri, watch and see how Terreri tries to keep his feet as long as he can. But once Chris gets down, he is so good at finding the puck to focus, and his ability to be quick when he is down, one of the keys to Terreri's play.
With just under 5 minutes to play in the first period, the Bruins finally were able to get one past him, though.
And Adam Oates is so good. You don't get 80 assists in the National Hockey League without being able to find the open man. He finds Murray all by himself, and Murray just fires a rocket past Chris Terreri. Nice pass by Oates, but Murray's shot made it 1-1.
All even after one. Number 2 coming up next. Team shortly to be called to center ice. Devils at the opposite end to our left this next period.
Now watch what happened when the puck was shot in. I didn't even notice this until we looked at it again between periods. The puck shot right here. It hits the linesman. That's why the Devils defensemen were turning the other way. They thought the puck was going around. So it wasn't really a blown assignment, but for the Devils as much as it was just a bad bounce. Oates capitalized with a nice pass out to Murray.
Peter, I remember back in March when we were here, we were actually commenting on the air about the number of times that the puck by Iafrate, no sail there. And it's Sweeney. Boy, some good action right at the beginning.
Much quicker pace to the start of this period than the start of period 1.
Icing called against the Bruins. 54 seconds into this second period.
Bruce Driver, another one of the Devils defensemen that has played so well in these playoffs. Driver now 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in the playoffs. And you have to go back now to the fact that the games are starting to add up for the New Jersey Devils. Since the start of the playoffs, this is the 11th game in 21 nights, and you throw that on top of that extra 65 minutes in Game 6 in Buffalo. It's a lot of hockey.
Danico shovels one that deflected to the glass. Bork wedges with McLean. Lemieux comes by, brushes it behind to Nichols. John McLean centered one off the goal stick of Casey. Kept by Driver. Bounced one that's off Smolinski. Driver to recover and right back in again. Devils swing back in, so it's an onside play taken by Bork. Bork over to Sweeney. 1-1 tie, early second period. Glad you're with us tonight on Sports Channel. Loaded back in by Smolinski. First one there is Steve Hines out of Boston College. He pivots, lays it right back in for Ted Donato. Danico there too. Smolinski able to pull it away. Centered one that was off of Hines. Now Iafrate lost it. Coming by was McLean, couldn't get it. Iafrate still has it. Dipping along for a pass on over. Centered by Donato. Roberts flung it off the chest of Terreri and it popped loose. Now it's Danico shaking it back down, and this time the Devils ice the puck to take a little heat off.
And for the defenseman, that's one of the things that you immediately have to just do. You can't be worrying about it. If you're in trouble at all, just ice it. Take the face off. You have to rely on your center iceman to win some draws. Terreri had that puck bounce off his chest. But then all of a sudden there's confusion, so Danico did the right thing. He got it. Just get it down the ice, get a line change, get things straightened out.
Both sets of defensemen had 4 shots on goal in the first period. That's 4 Devil shots out of 13 and 4 Bruin shots out of 14. The Bruins decisively in Game 3, 14-6. The other 2, it was very close, just by 1. Along the boards, it's Wesley flinging one that went around the opposite side. Zelepukin, but Stumple. Terreri had to stop that one. Dealt along by Smith. Wesley kept it alive. Pass Smith again. Up the other board. Zelepukin there. And Zelepukin can skate out with it. Met by Shaw. Put it into Wesley. Off the glass, back out. Follow up by Shaw. Nubs on over to Alvaline. Dumped off for Shaw again. This is the arena that has the most geometric game of a very geometric sport. There is so much bouncing off the boards here just to get a play set up. Stumple has to drop back further. Lifted on back off Alvaline and going to get it is Smith. 2:45 gone in the second period of our tie game. Zelepukin unassisted in the first. Murray from Oates and Wesley in the first.
And now we've gone in from real quick, lots of action. Now all of a sudden we've had 2-3 shifts with the pucks just in the center ice zone. Not much action, just a lot of neutralized play.
Headed forward is Smith. Good bump put on him. Glenn Murray tried to play it, but it swung into the first row, and so play again is stopped. It's interesting what happens when all of a sudden a game changes complexion just from one shift change seemingly to another one.
Well, a lot of times it's what the coaches say on the bench. They'll make just a little adjustment. They'll have the defenseman either pinch up. They'll say to Jason Smith, you do this, you do that, don't do this, this on the next shift, don't do that. And all of a sudden a mistake is corrected. And that's why Larry Robinson has been so valuable for the Devils. Talked about it all year, how well the Devils have played defensively. Guys like Jason Smith learning from Robinson. I mean, they learned a lot defensively this season.
Fed back to Bork. Fires! Snapped up by Terreri, and play is stopped. On the Modell scoreboard early in the second period, Zelepukin and Murray, the only goal scorers.
With the fresh, pure, natural taste of an ice-cold Budweiser. Nothing beats a Bud. This last shot by Ray Bork. Ray Bork came into this game tied with Mike Madonna for most shots on goal during the playoffs with 41.
Bork's shot went off Murray. Brought back on by Niedermeyer. On the money for Chorsky. The tap to Richer. Steam for Carpenter, who laid it back in the corner. Goes to get it. Nudged by Sweeney. Chorsky out to Richer. Oh! And a save by Casey. Bang, bang play, and Casey answered it. Wrapped around now for Niedermeyer. Turns it to the corner, but it is Hughes. Hughes pursued by Richer. Off the shoulder of Murray and into the Devils bench, and play stopped again.
John Casey's best save of this hockey game. Stefan Richer, who has had a solid game for the Devils. He has been dangerous every single shift. And this one, it's a nice play out front. Chorsky, who had the big game in Game 3 for the Devils. Chorsky, number 17 right there, had 2 goals and an assist in Game 3. Sets up Richer perfectly, and Richer almost gave the Devils a 2-1 lead.
Well, you mentioned that little session that Chorsky had on the ice with Jacques Lemaire and how radically it's changed things. He has become very productive, and though he doesn't have a point in the game tonight, he's had some splendid setups. And
this has been the Devils' best line here at the Boston Gardens. Richer on the right side, Carpenter in the middle, Chorsky on the left.
Gordy Roberts, but waiting is Dowd. Shoots one. Blocked down by Iafrate. Dowd, nice keep. Off of Roberts. Flung away from Stewart. Now the Devils forechecking paying off. Good hit by Richer on Marois. Little extra emphasis came from Zelepukin too. Thrown back in, and it's angled out for Roberts. Swings it back out. Stewart in a race with it. Coming across though is Niedermeyer. Along for Dowd. Forced back by Knipscher. Terreri behind his goal. Around the board, Zelepukin dips back and plays it to Scott Stevens. 4.5 minutes have passed here in the second period of our game in this 1-1 tie. Dowd trying to shake in. Casey out of his net to play it along. Now it is Stewart. Cam Stewart with a weak pass, flagged down by Dowd. Delayed offside is wiped. The tap comes from Casey for Roberts. We're going to get a penalty coming up. Hankinson and Shaw has dropped the gloves, and the linesman in between, and a penalty was coming up. Don Koharski had his arm raised. On the Modell scoreboard, a 1-1 tie.
His first playoff game. He's in the lineup because Billy Guerin is out for the Devils with an injury. We don't know what Guerin's injury is, but Hankinson does his job. He and Shaw got the stick up. The penalty wasn't called yet. They went up the ice. The puck came back into the zone. Hankinson came into Shaw. Shaw slashed at him, and when he did, Hankinson backed off, and Shaw goes off.
The Devils start this power play that is stopped very quickly with the puck being lifted out at the Bruins bench. With Scott Stevens and Driver the point men, Nichols working up front with McLean and Lemieux, Oates and Reed the penalty killing forward, Sweeney and Bourque the defense. Shaw's slash is at .445.
What a valuable player Adam Oates is for the Boston Bruins. Of course, with Neely out of the lineup, he takes all of the offensive pressure on his shoulders for the Boston Bruins.
And he takes a lot of the punishment at the front on their power play. Usually that's left to a big guy. But Adam Oates goes 5'11", 190. Pass ahead now for Bruce Driver. Driver laying it back in. Don Sweeney after it. McLean took care of him for Nichols. Nichols wanted to get it through to Lemieux. Hasn't done it yet. Still working though, and now Lemieux up with it. Claude Lemieux took a whack and a couple of whacks from Bourque. Allowed to go to McLean. Working the outside, half boards to Nichols, then back to McLean. Out in front to Lemieux, and it's poke checked away by Casey. Coming across is Stevens. Reed on him. Lays it along to Driver. Oates starts in on him, and so it's laid off to Nichols and then over to Stevens and quickly on to John McLean again. McLean then to Lemieux. To the corner with Reed. Puck to Nichols. Back to the point. Stevens, good keep. Driver. Fed it across McLean with a shot, and that shunted away. McLean again, but it's Oates, and back down.
Both times the Devils have been on the power play, they have had excellent passing, excellent movement with the puck. They're just not getting that one shot on net.
Here's Stevens moving it ahead. Scott Stevens able to pitch it back in. Wesley goes to get it. After him, Zelapukin wraps him up. Down to the ice he goes. Standing nearby, Koharski up with it down. Down across, Riche, score! Stefan Riche on the power play. Rushing across to protest to Don Koharski was Glenn Wesley, but the goal stands and the Devils lead 2-1.
Beautiful play by Dowd. Bottom of your screen, you see Zalapukin take down Wesley. Dowd walks out. Look at the right side. Iafrady's got Riche, but he's not playing the stick. And you know what surprised me when that play was over? When Wesley comes up to Koharski, he bumped Koharski. He ran right into him. Riche, who's had a great game for the Devils, was robbed by Casey earlier in the period, comes back now on the power play to give the Devils a 2-1 lead.
Second power play goal of the playoffs. First goal of the series for Riche, and his fourth overall in the playoffs at 6:15. So Smolinski. Popped back out by Jason Smith. Riche moving ahead again. Knocked off his stick by Iafrady, and Donato starts it back the other way. Has Hines on his right and sends it that way, but it's tipped aside. Bobby Carpenter, nice pass on to Chorsky. Across to Riche again. Riche a drive, and it was deflected away by Roberts. Gordy Roberts jammed it back off. Hines steps to it there and starts ahead. Hines pass tipped along by Smolinski. Going back forward is Smith. Big scoreboard clock above center ice ticks down to 13 minutes to go in the second. 2-1 the score of the game in favor of the Devils. The Bruins lead the series by the same margin. It is Bourque and then Sweeney. Pass is tipped ahead by Hughes, and then he bumped into McKay. Trying to move ahead was Murray, but down to the ice went Stevens to recover and play it along. Then Glenn Murray once again over for Adam Oates. Has Bourque and gives to him. Bourque with a shot, and that's blocked away by Terreri. Fed around behind. It's Murray there. Duels with Scott Stevens. Puck poked loose. Snake back up the boards by Niedermeyer, and it rolled back out. Staggering ahead. Trying to get to it is Lemieux. And Lemieux now deliberately able to control as a line change coming on for New Jersey.
Boy, Glenn Murray, number 44 for the Boston Bruins, has had a great game. He's got the only goal, and he has been all over the ice. I didn't realize he had such great speed.
He is one of the guys Brian Sutter is most proudest of on this team that is so young. The youth worked into the lineup along with the big star players. Excepting, of course, Cam Neely, who is out till at least the tail end of this round or the next one should the Bruins get there. Sweeney with a pass. Cherkowski on to Hughes. Hughes watched by Driver. Little pass cut off by Holik. Bobby Holik floats it right off the wallet of Hughes. Puck spun right back along for Shaw. Flicked it. Reflex action to Cherkowski. Off of Driver again. Quick changes of possession. Another typical part of a game being played in the confines of Boston Garden. Laid back out by Holik. 9 feet shorter at center ice and 2 feet narrower across. Here's Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer leaned on by Stumple and they went down. Up with it is Bobby Holik. Holik looking along for McKay. Dumped one that Randy McKay is able to take. McKay popped one back down that Shaw will go to get, and we'll have an icing call. 11:05 to go in the second, and the Devils up 2-1.
For the Devils, number 16, Bobby Holik. Now, Holik has played wing most of this season, but he's playing center now. He does a very good job defensively. He's been very impressive. Here's a play off the boards last time. Lemieux. This is one of those ones where a guy like Ray Bourque, 15 years in the league, he's going to get away with that. That's a marginal call, but if it's Ray Bourque doing it, you're not going to call it. Looks like Ray Bourque's going to have that's a fat lip. That's where the puck hit him in the first period.
From this face-off, it's Danico around to Driver. Cherkowski closed him off, but it's Zelepukin. Zelepukin and Dowd and Ben Hankinson the front line now for the Devils. Chest high and then jumbled by Terreri, but a strong recovery. And a pose struck there by Terreri as it's popped ahead. Gordy Roberts swung it back off. Danico tried to punch it further. Sent in further by Ben Hankinson. Casey around behind. Zelepukin tripped up. Cherkowski floated it back out. Bruce Driver right there to crank it back in. Off the boards, Roberts watches as Reed plays and then right back to him. And we get a stoppage of play on a delayed offside. Midway in the second period, 1 goal in this period by Richer has given the Devils the lead.
And dump shot by Ally Afraidy, almost runs up the back and in behind Chris Terreri. That's a couple that have seemingly hit him in the chest, and he's had a little trouble controlling.
Boy, you get a great look at it there. Chris Terreri, one time in his college days, made 65 saves against Boston College here while with Providence College. It's just like home for him.
He'll want about half of that, if not fewer, in this hockey game.
Bouncing puck, juggled but eaten up by Terreri, and again play is stopped.
I wonder if there was any thought of playing Martin Brodeur back here in Game 4.
Terreri had such a strong game, and he admitted himself, boy, I could have taken us out of it when I got that double roughing minor. I could have cost us there, but he came back and won the game on his own strength and saves, too.
And we mentioned it at the time, but the fans threw a lot of stuff on the ice when the score was 3-2 when Iafrate scored. Even Jacques Lemaire said in the paper that helped his club. The time helped his club settle down.
One-time shot by Murray, blocked by Jason Smith. And it is McLean. Boy, Murray is starting to emerge as a star in this series. Angled back in, going to get it as Sweeney. Tripped up was Lemieux. Don Sweeney ahead. Nichols got in the way. Puck squibbed onto Murray. Ahead now to Oates with Hughes. Oates cruising in, around in front, and score!
Well, Adam Oates set up goal 1 in this hockey game for the Bruins. He's going to set up this goal with a beautiful move. But watch the left side. Number 18, Hughes, is going to come into the play. And Hughes on an equally bad angle. We saw Zelepukin score the first goal of the game from a bad angle. Watch the angle where Hughes scores this one from. Tommy Abilene gets so unlucky. He was coming back. He got a piece of that puck, but he actually deflects it right to Hughes. And Hughes on the second swipe out ties this game up.
The loudest ovation of the night. And the loudest ovation here at the Garden since the Iafrate goal last game. That one squibbed right in on Casey. Even louder than the scrap at the end of Game 3. Here's Shaw, wedged off by Chorsky. Coming by is Carpenter. That one tended away by Casey and brought up by Donato. Donato had it tipped away, but Smolinski followed up. The Bruins seem to have a little pepper after getting this game tied at 2. But up with it now is Bobby Carpenter. Massachusetts-born center hands back over to Richer. Richer in with a blast, and that one goes into the seats. Oates and Murray get the assists on Hughes' goal. So that line has accounted for both.
And Murray's had an assist in this hockey game and a goal in this game. So the 44s for the respective clubs. Stephane Richer for the Devils and Murray for the Boston Bruins have big keys offensively in this game.
We should mention that on the Richer power play goal, there was one assist accorded, and that was to Jim Dowd, who continues to get points in important games for New Jersey.
And it was a beautiful play by Jimmy Dowd.
Don Koharski issued warnings to both benches before the game even got started. And he has come over with another one, seeming to be pointed at Bernie Nichols.
We saw Hughes yelling about something.
Well, it's Driver. And back in. And Roberts. Zelepukin defended him well. Puck squibbed back out to Driver. Laid in again. 8:45 to go in the second of this 2-2 tie. Ally Afraidy dumped it along. Reed is there, met by Dowd. But it came back over to Stumple. Iafrate leads it ahead. Driver watching him. He crosses to Danico's side. Pick set on him, and a shot went wide. Danico run into and was out of the play. Cherkowski a shot. Save! Terreri. Loose puck. And we get a stoppage of play. Don Koharski had blown the whistle.
Well, it gets so loud in this building as we watch the last play. Hankinson and Reed run into Danico. That frees up Iafrate, and we've seen Iafrate score 2 goals from almost the same position. That was a save by Terreri. When it first happened, I thought maybe Iafrate had missed the net. That was a beautiful leg save by Terreri.
Well, Iafrate verified to Stan Fischler between periods that what he said in the newspaper was true. He likes to go for the 5-hole shot, the one between the goaltender's legs. But that one, because of the angle perhaps, was headed the other way to the outside of what would have been Terreri's left skate.
And what Iafrate was talking about when he said that, you know, the moving his head, the little moves, when he's coming down the ice, he comes so fast that a goaltender has to be constantly adjusting his angle so his feet are moving, which opens up the 5-hole.
This is Bork. Save Terreri, and the rebound sent away. Brought back up by Jason Smith on the rush. Watched by Sweeney. Smith just angles one off. Mike Peluso in to get it. Sent a man flying. Holik out. Shot at the front of the net, blocked off by Hughes. Bobby Holik again put it off Sweeney. Peluso trying to get free to get to it, but instead it's Sweeney rammed by McKay. Puck to neutral ice. The Crashers are out there now for the Devils. Bouncing puck picked up by Bork. Under 8 minutes to go in this tie game, second period. Adam Oates with it for the Bruins. Then it's Peluso banking it back in. Puck taken by Bork again, pursued by Randy McKay. Ray Bork's pass came over for Oates, but away from him. Smith jostling and swinging and knocking a man down. That was Hughes. It is Holik. Back over now for Tommy Albaline, and the puck comes loose. Murray moving in. Blocked off by Terreri. Adam Oates pivoting with it is Murray again. Murray with a pass to the front. Escapes to the corner. Mike Peluso with it there. Gave it up to Shaw at the point. Shaw with a shot. It went wide. Randy McKay rolls it back down, and Shaw goes back to take it short of icing. Devils hurriedly in the midst of a change. Wesley bringing it on. Forces the Devils to chase again. Chris Terreri, a busy goaltender, trying to get by all the traffic, but it's Donato. Yanking it around behind to Hines. Chased off. Moving in, though, is Smolinski. Looks to the back to Wesley. Smolinski pestered there by Jim Dowd's checking. Turning with it is Hines. Hines to Smolinski, and a shot came back to him. Another shot, and that hit someone up high. It was Ted Donato, and play is stopped.
It was the shot of Smolinski. Obviously, if you're a Bruin fan, you think that it was Stevens knocking down Donato. But I'm sure this is the shot because Koharski immediately pointed Well, I'll tell you, there was stuff going on away from the puck. Now watch the shot. Now in behind is where Donato is. The puck goes up. And boom, it hits Donato right in the kisser. And again, when it happens that quickly, you just assume that Stevens gets the stick up on him. Now this would be a good angle right here, a bad angle if you're Donato. And he catches it right in the head.
Is he going to stay at the bench? Boy, it looks like it. I think they're going to replace him. There he steps off.
Here comes Stewart. Yeah, if you're down and they blow the whistle because of the fact you're down, you have to go off the ice. The Bruins have substituted Cameron Stewart, for Donato to play on this line.
Jaworski tips. Wesley takes. Right back along. Up with it, Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer off of Carpenter and in deep. Wesley back to get it. Pursued by Richer. Wesley moving ahead. Richer catches up. Jaworski had it punched away by Smolinski. Hammered back in again by Stevens.
One thing for the Boston Bruins, just a small lineup changer. Change the defensive partners. Sweeney and Bork are still together, but Iafrate and Wesley aren't paired in tonight's game. It's Wesley and Shaw, Roberts, and Iafrate.
In this period, Boston with 10 shots, the Devils with 4. Both teams with a goal, both teams with 2 goals in the game. And offside. On the Modell scoreboard, 5:56 to go in the second period of our game that's tied up at 2.
Regular pain in the rear end for the Devils this series. He got involved with McKay right here. Gets up, and now remember, Randy McKay can't afford to be caught starting a fight. He'll be an instigator, he'll get a game misconduct, and he'll miss the following game. So Randy McKay does a good job of holding his cool right there. McKay just went back down the ice, waited, just stayed away from Hughes in that particular shift.
Well, it's hard to keep your cool, especially when you're being worked over and sent down to the ice in a situation like he was. And we could see it very clearly there on that replay. We get a stoppage of play.
Well, McLean got the stick up on Hughes. That's who, right off the bat, that's the line. The line of Oates, Murray, and Hughes was the starting line for the Boston Bruins. Remember, on the road, the Devils have to put their lineup in first. They started McLean, Nichols, and Lemieux. So it was Hughes versus McLean. That was the matchup that Brian Sutter wanted in this hockey game.
Well, McLean for the high stick at 14-16. Adam Oates comes out to work the power play with Bork and Iafrate, the gunners, at the back. I know it's tied and it's the second period. Does this become a crucial power play situation for Boston or a crucial kill for New Jersey?
Well, you look at the score, too, how the goals have been scored. They've been on tough plays. You have to work for your goals. Yeah, it really does, because going into the third period with that lead would be key in this hockey game.
To the point to Bork. Shoveled off to Adam Oates. Oates with a pass to Iafrate. Shoots one. Save made by Terreri. Iafrate again, flips one, glove down by Danico, centered by Oates, back to Iafrate, and a shot he didn't get all of. Oates again on to Donato, back to Bork this time. Bork a shot, and that one went wide. Iafrate has retrieved a new stick from the bench and is able to play it in deep. Stevens battling with Donato, out in front, shot blocked away by Danico from Smolinski's stick. Now it's Donato again, around to Adam Oates, looks for Smolinski but gives to Donato. Donato moving in. Then over for Oates. Back for Smolinski. Oates played it on the bounce. 1:12 left on the power play. Iafrate able to keep from the diving Carpenter. Carpenter able to beat it back down. Adam Oates upset at himself because he lost that duel. Devils hurriedly making a change, and Bork helped them by leaving the puck behind. Then he's bumped off by Lemieux. Iafrate able to pull away from one. Al Iafrate on over to Stumple. Then back for a pass to Bork, who fires. Score!
Bourque was the only player on the Boston Bruins who stayed out for the whole power play. And Terreri was starting down. That puck just got under the leg of Bernie Nichols. Terreri was going down, and you have to remember, Bourque has a great shot. Terreri couldn't quite get his stick down quickly enough. Watch the stick of Terreri. Seems to be on just a little bit of an angle when the shot comes through. And when it is, it just deflects in behind him.
Ray Bourque's second goal of the playoffs, first of this series, and first power play goal of the playoffs at 15:25. Cherkowski and Stumple get the assist. Fed back off for a shot by Smith, and that went off a man. It's Dowd, but his pass was away from Zelepukin, and Reed starts back up ice with it. Trying to get through was Hines, then Reed able to turn by Jason Smith. Reed around behind. Oh, for Smolinski in front, but it went off of him. Now it is Smith again, dumping it back off. Flung back ahead right on the money for Dowd, but they rule a pass over two lines and a wrestling match. Jason Smith with a right. Hines down and back up again. The linesmen have not been sent in just yet. Smith letting the left go, trying to get the jersey up over the head of Hines, and he was able to do it, and now the linesmen are in. Downstairs we go to Stan Fischler.
End of the period, I'm going to be talking to Kenny Danico of the New Jersey Devils. Earlier, when I talked to Ally Afredi, we were wondering about the meanness of the game. Well, we've just seen it burst out right there. It's been getting progressively more bitter on the ice. I've been watching it closely from ice level. I did make a note earlier in the period. I was questioning whether Chris Terreri seemed to be a little uncertain. He bobbled one long shot by Iafredi, then he came back and he made an excellent toe save on another one. But on that go-ahead goal, it seemed to me that should have had it. Mike, Peter.
Get a chance to see what started all of this between Smith and Hines.
One of the big things about Jason Smith that he does very well, when he is going to be hit, when he's got the puck, he passes the puck and then he explodes into the guy that's hitting him. So a lot of times he throws the guy off that's hitting him. He thinks the guy that's going to hit Jason Smith thinks, I got this guy lined up, and all of a sudden Jason just hammers into him and can throw him off.
Fighting majors apiece. Hines was really upset with himself seemingly after that because Jason Smith had the advantage in it. And he has left the ice, as has Smith. Neither man seemed to be hurt by it, but there was not enough time for them to serve all 5 minutes that they were getting, so they'll wait in the locker room as Bourque plays it ahead. 3-2, Boston ahead. Carpenter flips it back in. Richer tried to get near the front, could not. Rolled off by Oates. Good glove keep by Scott Stevens. Oh, that was inside. At least it looked that way to us, and we're positioned beautifully right along the blue line, very close to it, but it is called an offside. So I'll put my whistle away and we'll talk about Monday's game. It's Game 5 between these Devils and Bruins. 7:30 at the Meadowlands. Our pregame show is at 7, live and exclusively on Sports Channel. All of that subject to league restrictions.
Well, I think, Mike, we're looking at a hockey game right here. The next goal goes to the winner of this game. I think the Devils get it. Kind of game that they'll be back in. They'll be their size and whatever will start to take over. If the Bruins get it, a 2-goal lead will be tough to come back in this building with the momentum the Bruins have built up.
Thrown back off, and it's Richer. Nice pass on to Tom Chorske. Dueled at the line by Bourque and Sweeney. And then Bourque. Bourque able to weave its way ahead. Back over to Murray. Murray sent one in front, and it went off of Hughes. Sent along by Oates, but brought back up ice by Niedermeyer. Then along to Richer. Richer a drive off the shoulder of Casey. Sweeney fires it around, and it went off Bobby Holik, but I think also off Don Koharski. Koharski got a stare from Holik. Niedermeyer up with the puck. All the way down, it's sent. This will be an icing as Iafredi arrives. Well, you pointed out that the next goal was so key. What happens in the Devils' minds if this period ends the way it is right now at 3-2? Do they feel somewhat relieved, the pressure that Boston put on them this period, that they are only down by 1, or what do you think?
No, you don't worry about that. I think both of these clubs are confident they can beat the other club. It's the idea now that, you know, that Casey's playing well, and you're going to have to come back in this hockey game and get the next goal. So you have to automatically be thinking, okay, solid hockey, but a little bit more offensive. For the Bruins, it's just the exact opposite. They've already got enough goals, and the score stays the same to win.
McKay connects to Holik. Punched aside, Cherkasky lifts. Reed moves after that one. And he touched it, but it crossed 2 lines, and was he ever rocked for his trouble by Danico. Mike Peluso, who's chatting with Joseph Stumple right now. You get a chance to see that. He said the glass really gives well here, but he said the boards don't. In Buffalo, both of them gave, but the boards don't.
That's an interesting point, because the boards stay up here for the basketball games. The boards don't come down, and so they're probably in pretty solid. You see Reed coming across right here, 2-line pass, but Danico follows through.
Well, it'll be Bernie Nichols to take the face-off. You see Ken Danico staying out there along with Driver. The forwards along with Bernie Nichols are Lemieux and McLean. Donato and Daniel Marois and Smolinski. With Sweeney and Bork the defense. Off of Nichols. Pitched out by Bork. Chopped in by Marois. Ferrari sets. Danico takes. 2:10 to go. Danico run into by Ted Donato. Bouncing puck gathered in by Bork. Bork's pass cut away by Bernie Nichols. Nichols spun around, but he turned it in deep. It's Casey swinging it back around. Off of Driver, played by Bork. Bouncing puck over to Danico. And Danico just turns with it. Pass ricocheted off of Nichols and then is brought back up by Driver, handed on to Bernie Nichols. Watched by Sweeney. Nichols unable to get the pass through Don Sweeney. Lobs it along, and Smolinski can start away. Has 2 guys with him. Feeds over for Bork. That one swept away by Bernie Nichols. Shift change on for the Bruins. Pass tipped off of John McLean. Poked on by Hughes. Gathered by Oates. Lays it across for Wesley. One timed right back in. Terreri blocks that one and then reaches it for Bruce Driver. Up the boards now for Albeline. Wanted to tip it further. Wesley fighting there. Sent along by Oates, but taken by Albeline and guided across to Driver again. Pass went through across to Hankinson, and it's a 2-line pass with 1:06 to go in the period, and play once again is stopped.
And every play becoming so key right now. Ben Hankinson cleared the puck in, and Hughes came at him, and you could just see Hankinson saying, okay, I can't do anything stupid. You know, Hughes is still on the minds of the Devils. He scored a good goal, a big goal in tonight's game to make the score 2-2. Don Koharski again. These games, as long as the score stays close, that's what the referees love, because the players will somewhat slow down.
A firebrand sort of atmosphere going into this, but much of it was in black and white and on paper. And the team of black and white and red and black have not shown that much of the fighting fire on the ice, but collisions like Hankinson just put into Hughes are something they've shown a lot of. A 1-goal game. Bruins ahead 3-2 in the final 40 seconds of the second period. Scott Niedermayer pivoting with it for New Jersey. Pass came back to him. Turned by Murray. Help came from Oates. Threads it for Shaw. Shaw over to Hughes, and Hughes' shot is deflected by Niedermayer. Thrown back, but over to Zelepukin. Watched by Shaw. Zelepukin bringing it on for New Jersey. Met by Shaw, leaned on. Loose puck comes back to Niedermayer. Screen set, and a shot was wide. Hustling for it is Stevens. He'll get there, but in neutral ice. Adam Oates looks a little tired and might be in the midst of a shift change shortly. It's thrown right back for Shaw. The shift change will occur in the intermission. 2 periods played.
Well, the power play goal in that period by Ray Bork is the difference in this hockey game. Now 3-2 going into the third period. The Devils will have to dig down to win this game. Otherwise, they'll go home down 3-1 in the series.
No Devils shots in the last 8 minutes of that period, but shots on goal overall. Boston 12 for a total of 26. Devils 5 for a total of 18. 2 periods played and 3-2 Boston.
394 season is the. Let's go downstairs. George Stan Fischler with defenseman Kenny Danico.
And we see Kenny Danico in action here. It's a body-checking game, and Kenny does it as well as anybody in the NHL. Here's another look at it along the boards, and the word is that the glass gives at Boston Garden, but the boards don't. What about that?
Well, I don't know, Santa. I try to do the hitting, and you know, once in a while you got to take a hit to make a play. But you know, it's been a physical game out there, and we've got to continue to take the body and hopefully wear them down.
2 periods of hockey. Devils down by 1. What about the game after 2? What did you see?
Well, I'm a little disappointed in the second period. We took the lead there, and you know, we've got to play a little smarter. We got caught once, you know, the defenseman moving up, but. Overall, it's just been a hard-fought game. Unfortunately, we're down 1, and we need a big third period. This is as big as it comes right now.
Peter McNabb and Mike Emmerich have been talking about the need for discipline in this game. Obviously, some of the Bruins are doing a little bit of chirping. Hughes, how tough is it to contain yourself?
Well, it's unbelievable. I mean, at times, you know, in a playoff game, they know they can get away with it. You know, you got to suck it up, and paybacks for next year. I mean, the bottom line is to win, and Coho's letting the game go out there. He's letting everybody play physical, which I like out there. He's not calling everything.
What about the Bruin defensemen, particularly Iafrate and Raymond Bourque? Raymond Bourque getting that last goal. How do you stop these guys? What's the best way to stop them?
Well, you can't let them get wound up in the neutral zone. You know, they're good puck handlers and excellent skaters, so they wind it up in the neutral zone. Your forward's got to be in their face, hooking them, holding them, banging them, taking them out of the play so they can't get those big shots away and create plays by gaining our blue line.
Lots of talk about home ice advantage, the effect of the crowd. Does the crowd here in any way prove to be a positive thing for a visiting player like yourself?
Oh, I think no question. You know, you love to play in a crowd that's screaming, yelling. I really don't care who they're cheering for. It gets your adrenaline going, and I'm hoping we can use it as a positive effect in the third period, because they do get you going, and you know, it keeps you going anytime you're in any building where the fans are, you know, rambunctious out there.
Down a goal, Ken, do the Devils go further to the offense, rev up the offense more than they have in the first 2 periods?
Well, I think we got to stick to our game plan, and we still have to play solid defensively, because we can't let them get that fourth goal to go 2 goals ahead. But get the puck in and maybe create a few more scoring opportunities by banging them. That's why we were successful in Game 3, and we have to continue to get it in, bang their D, and cause turnovers.
Toward the end, Teddy Donato threw a pretty heavy one here. Tell me, on this particular play, did you get hurt on that particular shot? Oh,
no. You got to, I mean, I knew he was coming, and I had to get the puck around the boards, and I expected to take the hit. So that's part of the game. You gotta take a hit once in a while to make a play.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Stan.
Okay, we'll have more right after this.
Summary: Richer on the power play from Dowd at 6:15. Hughes from Oates and Murray at 10:07. Bourque on the power play from Cherkowski and Stumple at 15:25. Now to the intermission highlights, brought to you by the United States Postal Service.
Jimmy Dowd, who's played so well for the Devils in this playoff series. He'll pick up the puck right as it's knocked off of Wesley, but watch the right side of your screen. Stephane Richer, who's had 5 shots in this game, finally connects on one in behind Casey, and that gave the Devils a 2-1 lead, and the Devils at that time were playing very well.
About 4 minutes later, though, the scoreboard was to change.
And Brett Hughes, who has played well in this series, it hasn't just been the physical part. He's been driving towards the net. He'll come in the right side of your screen, but watch the puck get tipped by the stick of Abilene right there. Hughes picks it up, takes advantage of the break, and tied this game, and that was a huge goal in this hockey game.
Penalty to the Devils, and a power play goes to the Bruins with less than 5 minutes to go.
Well, Ray Bourque, as we mentioned, playing his 150th NHL playoff game. The Boston Bruins, in his 15-year career, picks it up, and he just hammers it under the leg right here of Bernie Nichols. It seemed to just throw Terreri off just enough. The force of it broke through the pads, and that gave, on the power play, the Bruins a 3-2 lead.
And that's what they've got as we are getting ready for the third period. We'll have it in a moment. of '95. They will play a ceremonial game in the preseason with the first team they ever played here back in 1928, the Montreal Canadiens. And then the Bruins will move right next door to the new one.
Right in behind Jimmy Dowd, Martin Brodeur, who celebrated his 22nd birthday yesterday by facing about 17,000 shots in practice. But Brodeur, again, he and Terreri have formed a marvelous relationship between the two of them. Terreri was Brodeur's biggest fan when Brodeur was playing so well. In the other game, when Terreri came in to play, Brodeur was right there every period in the morning, talking to him, getting him pumped up for the game. I mean, it is so important if your goaltenders get along.
No carryover penalties or power plays. As we go into the third, Wesley starting with Shaw, and that's the first pass. Cherkowski working up front along with Stumple as well as Reed. Terreri blocks, and it's played by Scott Stevens. Then it's Reed again. Stevens and Niedermeyer, the defense for the Devils. Chorsky and Richer along with Bobby Carpenter for New Jersey up front. Stumple wants to walk to the front of the net, defended off by Niedermeyer, and help came from Stevens. Chorsky just lays it back out, but it glanced off the linesman Brian Murphy. Shaken right back in again, and Terreri sets for Niedermeyer. In the midst of a change, the Bruins. Stevens with a pass ahead to Richer, then on now to Bobby Carpenter. Wrist shot. Grabbed there by Casey and turned along for Cherkowski. Quickly to Stumple. Joseph Stumple lays it in softly, and the Bruins will complete their change.
It's only one shift for the Devils, but every time the Devils have had a chance, they've followed through with their checks. We'll see if that continues the rest of this period.
This one back down for an icing. Sweeney arrives and touches up.
It's in the second period now at Washington. It is now 4-1. Krieger with the second goal of the game, and I believe that Healy is in. Mike Richter is being pulled, and Glenn Healy is in goal now for the New York Rangers.
So the first bit of adversity for the New York Rangers in these playoffs in their 8th game as they try for a sweep at Landover tonight, but the Capitals are not budging and are ahead by 3. Here the Bruins are ahead by 1 early in the third, 3-2. Oates and Dowd on the faceoff that Dowd wins and Danico takes. Hankinson up the boards, but Oates sent it back, so Danico tries the other way. Driver connects with Zelepukin. Flies it ahead too far for Hankinson. Sweeney has some trouble with it. Hankinson on him. Down to the ice goes Sweeney. Out in front came the puck. Oh, and a save made by Casey. They poke away at it. It's down behind. Thrown around the boards, and Danico sees it flop off the rail. Ken Danico floats one in front that's knocked down by Ray Bourque and brought right back up again by Oates. So the Devils put a scare into the Bruins back near their net. They'll try it again. A shot by Hankinson. He scores! Ben Hankinson has tied the game. What a beautiful feed across, and just a one-time smash that was able to get past John Casey, and Hankinson has tied it.
And you go all the way back. You see what happened. A couple of things happened real fast on this play. One, Hankinson earlier in the shift had gotten to Sweeney, but right here, the Bruins got on the ice, 3 or 4 extra players. The guys were coming off the ice. They at the last minute saw it, so you had all kinds of confusion at the Bruins bench. Now this is the Bruins management. Devils management, pardon me. Lou Lamoriello on the right side, Jacques Perron in the middle, and Albany coach Robbie Ftorek on the left. They saw what was happening, and that finally was Lou Lamoriello, Devils general manager and president, cheering as Hankinson's shot went in.
First ever Stanley Cup playoff goal for Ben Hankinson. Timing is everything, and the Devils will take that kind of timing here early in the third at 1:44. Jim Dowd, who made the marvelous pass across to him, gets his second assist, and both of them are primary assists tonight, and Bruce Driver, who continues to be impressive in the playoffs, gets the second one. And the time of it, 1:44. So the big board above center ice shows them even again. Back in, it went away from Terreri. Smolinski saw it flick back to Gordy Roberts. Angles one around. Jason Smith there along with Donato. Smith able to turn away, but Hines knocked it loose. Donato wrapped up by Nichols. Trying to stagger free as Hines, but the puck still up for grabs. Donato trying to control. Wanting to work a one-hand pass, held back by Nichols, played by Smolinski. Given a jolt and then a chop by Albeline. Brian Smolinski nearly knocked over, still able to play though. Back up the boards, it's McLean flipping, and Roberts with the keep. Roberts finessing, but McLean on him. Coming by is Claude Lemieux. Roberts and McLean tied it. Lemieux trying to jam it away. McLean as well, and it's frozen, and now a little jostling after the whistle. Mike Peluso reaching over from the bench, and I think it was to keep McLean away.
No, it's the fact that Roberts has a penalty right now. Roberts is going to the penalty box, and he's going by himself for the elbow that he threw on Claude Lemieux.
Power play to New Jersey. On the Modell scoreboard, it's tied.
Drew this penalty. He got to Gordie Roberts. Gordie Roberts, who has the most experience of any player as far as playoffs. This is a 152nd playoff game right here. Watch the left elbow. Boom. And the referee is right in behind it. He makes the call.
Pass ahead to Richer on this power play, and he's able to step by. Richer trying to go by. Save Casey. Oh, what a move by Richer. Stevens a drive and a pad stop Casey. Puck picked up by Reed. Boy, you talk about opportunity in the very early stages of a power play. It was there. Roberts and elbowing Minor at 2:57. Stevens gives on to Richer again. Moving, firing. That was a tough one for Casey, but he blocked it. Driven back off by Bork. Deflected by Driver, played in neutral ice by Scott Stevens. Jim Dowd is out now. Zelepukin and Richer stays. Back ahead comes Dowd once more. Jim Dowd laying it around behind. Casey out to send it right back the same direction. Bork's pass is on the money to Reed. Reed back ahead now to Steve Hines for the shorthanded Bruins. Hines a shot, and the save had to be made by Terreri. Reed flung one off of Terreri, and back around now for Shaw. Here's Shaw firing, and that went off Terreri. So after a good start, the Devils now reeling a bit on their power play.
Devils got caught standing around, sort of waiting the puck to come back to him, and all of a sudden Shaw had a pretty good angle.
41 seconds still for Boston to kill off here in this 3-3 third period tie.
Stefan Richer had 5 shots on goal against John Casey in the first 2 periods, one of them including a goal. This will be at least his second shot in this period. And when Richer can get that puck by the defenseman, if the goaltender doesn't pick it up right away, Richer's got a real good chance of putting it in behind him.
There is glass between those two guys, Richer and Riendeau, but a very thin pane, about 3/4 of an inch.
This is one of the old buildings where the players' boxes used to be on opposite sides, but now the National Hockey has gone to the rule where penalty boxes are on one side, the players' boxes have to be on the same side.
Albeline flipped one that had to be jabbed away and then thrown back down the ice. Took years to get that accomplished, and the Bruins were one of the longtime holdouts because it did cost them some paying customer seats down there. Niedermeyer with a pass back ahead now for Bernie Nichols. Nichols with 12 seconds to go on this power play. Gave it up to Casey, then along for Bork, and he just plays it down the middle.
The reason the National Hockey League went to that particular rule was the fact that the penalty boxes were so close to one team's. I'll get back to it.
Niedermeyer's shot is snapped up by Casey. Confident save by Casey. Keeps the Modell scoreboard showing the same thing, 3-3.
Scott Niedermeyer on the left, Scott Stevens, but it was Niedermeyer's last shot on Casey that almost got through again on the power play for the Devils. Niedermeyer using the screen perfectly. Casey has to make a good save. Shots starting to really get back to even. 29 now for the Bruins, 26 for the Devils.
Devils have had 8 of the 11 shots in this period. Bruins control the faceoff though. Teams are at full strength with just under 15 minutes to play in the third. Game tied at 3. Richer on back to Albeline. Right back across now for Jason Smith. Pitched on but right to Shaw by McKay. Knocked loose. Richer trying to play, but it's back up now by Oates. Oates on to Glenn Murray. Hands over to Hughes for Murray. Taken out of the play by a hip check from Albeline. Back in deep from Oates. Albeline got out of the way of the hit of Murray. Around now is Hughes, and a penalty coming up. The penalty will be on Tommy Albeline. Boston to get a power play and the game tied.
Well, we've been talking about him an awful lot in tonight's game. Glenn Murray draws the penalty here against the Devils. And now the Bruins, who took the lead 3-2 on Bork's power play goal, have a chance now to take a 4-3 lead.
This will be power play number 3 for the Bruins tonight. I want to remind you that Devils playoff hockey is brought to you by Modell's. You got to go to Moe's, where you get guaranteed lowest prices every day. Call 1-800-ASK-MODELLS for the nearest Modell's. Carpenter on the draw with Oates. Fed to the back to Bork. Across to Iafrate. Fires, and that hits someone in front. Played on around now for Oates again. The one at the front. Now inside the box, Smolinski as it comes to Donato. Adam Oates. Back to Donato. Diving is Stevens. Puck to Oates. Smolinski dubbed one. It went off Danico and wide. Danico hit by Donato. Puck to the back, but kept by Bork. Handed to Iafrate. Iafrate with a shot that went off of Donato. Iafrate again. Cranks one. Oh, and that was a scorcher wide. Stevens tries to fire it down and can't. Fed across. Smolinski hurried it wide. Iafrate with a pass kicked aside by Danico. Rolled around behind for Donato. Donato had it knocked away by Danico, taken away by Smolinski again. 1:15 to go on the power play. To the back it comes to Adam Oates. There is a glove lying on the ice. Oates up with it, looks for Bork. Now still controlling, a lot of roughness at the front. Donato and Stevens. Smolinski to the back. Iafrate has to go to neutral ice. Devils hurriedly with a change. Iafrate trying to break in. Offside call. Oh, man.
Boy, oh boy. The guy who took a pounding was Donato in front of the net. Ted Donato with Stevens. There's Smolinski, who was also out on the power play, number 20. He's the Bruins' leading goal scorer so far in the playoffs with 4. But you see the left side of your screen, or now right in the middle, you see Stevens just working over number 21, Ted Donato, and Donato hung in there. You got to give full marks for courage.
This is a guy that wore a puck on a shot earlier in this game in the last period. Back on now comes Wesley, trying to turn by Bruce Driver. 45 seconds still for the Devils to kill. Niedermeyer back up the boards. It went by Cherkowski and out. Lemieux and Johnny McLean up front for the Devils. In back, Driver and Niedermeyer. 3-3 the score, third period. 12 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the period, and half a minute still for the Devils to kill. Ray Bork moves ahead. Wesley shoots one. Save made by Terrarian. Driver was quick to turn it away. They jostle on the boards. Puck sent by Driver just out of the reach of Bork and back down. Fed out by Casey to Bork, then over to Adam Oates with 10 to go. Dropped it back to Bork.
Is that a confident play by Bork there or what?
Rushed along, and it's Murray up with it. Glenn Murray's pass, and a beautiful play in front by Niedermeyer. Right back out now, it's Chorsky. Penalty time is up to Tommy Albaline. So both teams have killed off a third period power play. Ben Hankinson's goal at 1:44 has tied this game at 3. Ben Hankinson goes rocking into Sweeney again. To the corner. Oh, Zelapukin with a hit, and then Hankinson with a collision on Reed. The ice surface has gotten even smaller. Marois along the boards, to a side battle, and the puck squirts loose to be played by Albaline, shoved back ahead. Pivoting is Valeri Zelapukin. Moving back out with Hankinson, just lays it back in. Shift change on for New Jersey. Zelapukin stumbles down. Meanwhile, the puck brought back up ice again by Don Sweeney. He plays the hard around. Terrari there with plenty of time and space, and Jason Smith plays it off. Bernie Nichols can't get to that one. Gordy Roberts takes it right in front of the Bruin bench. Albaline quickly back on to Bernie Nichols. Nichols with a pass up the wing. McLean just shot. He hit the outside of the goal. Played now by Gordy Roberts. Close call there for the Devils. Back around now for Reed. Reed bumped off by Nichols. Claude Lemieux moving back in. Onside play. Lemieux met by Roberts, trying to fight his way by. Roberts taking over for the Bruin defense. Bangs one past Marois that came to Stevens. Drive was deflected away. Hopped over for McLean. John McLean threw one off the pad of Casey, and it's cleared back down. So the Devils with the pressure, and the Bruins ice the puck, and the clock stops. And an exchange right near the benches again.
That's why I do wonder why the National Hockey League wants the benches on the same sides. But what happened was the penalty boxes were on the same side as the Bruins. So if there was coincidental minors, a player for the Bruins would just sort of slip right into the player's box, and somebody from the far end would come charging onto the ice. Whereas for the visiting club, the player in the penalty box would have to come all the way across the ice before he could get involved in a line change. Well, when you think back to the fact that Bruins came into these two games here at Boston up 2-0 in the series, you have to think that if the winner of this game, of this next 10 minutes and 49 seconds or overtime, is probably going to win this series, Mike. I mean, if the Devils can come back, straighten this thing out at 2, all the momentum is going their way. For the Bruins, the Devils would have to win 3 in a row to win this series.
The pass across. Good denial by Niedermeyer. Chorsky took care of Don Sweeney. Terreri the puck. And Niedermeyer. Scott Niedermeyer with a strong game tonight for the Devils. Puck went off Chorsky. Back now to Bourque. Ray Bourque has to glide around behind. Richer there wanting to smoke him out. It's fed back away from Donato, and the Devils turn. So it's Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer and Scott Stevens, the defense pair for Jacques Lemaire right now. Oates and Hines, as well as Hughes, are out for the Boston Bruins. Holik moves in on Bourque. Fed it around the other way. Randy McKay might get there first. A little tip back to Danico. Danico pitches it back in. Bobby Holik around behind. Holik with a pass, and Fanning Peluso jammed at by Driver. Bouncing puck picked up by Bourque. Bourque cranks one 2/3 of the ice that's blocked away by Terreri. He got it on goal. Wrapped on around, it went off of Oates. Adam Oates able to keep it, tucked it off Peluso, back along for Murray. Glenn Murray denied. Nice play by Driver, gets it right back again. Good feist by Murray, but it's Driver. Driver's pass went off Peluso, kept alive by Shaw. Dave Shaw moving in, side of the net to Oates. Out in front, Murray scores!
Well, the Devils had control of the puck. They lost it. And once they lost it, Shaw keeps it in the zone, gets it down to Oates. And I'll tell you, we've seen Adam Oates. Look at the pass that he makes. A lot of times you'd be saying that's a fluke play. There's no way. Oates knew exactly where Glenn Murray was, and he gives the Bruins a 4-3 lead.
Now the Devils get their biggest test. The Garden is bedlam. The Bruins are ahead. 9:29 to go in the third.
Well, if you're going to win a playoff series, there comes a point where you've got to take charge of certain times. And for the Devils, this is one of them. There's 9:29 to go in this hockey game. The crowd is all pumped up. The Bruins have just scored. The Devils are going to have to settle this crowd down, get just some pressure on John Casey here to tie this game up.
Murray from Oates and Shaw at 10:31. And the Bruins have the lead back again. Off of Terreri. Reed is in. Jason Smith is on him. Stumple shoving with Ben Hankinson, and the puck frozen. Here at Boston Garden, midway in the third on the Modell scoreboard, the home team by 1. Some of the 14,448 looking on here at Boston Garden. Stumple and Jim Dowd for the face-off with 9:15 to go. Off of Zelepukin. Stumple turns one around, deflected away by Terreri. Reed around behind, tries to center in camp. Loaded back around, Hankinson to it, tries to chip it from Wesley. Shoves Wesley down, along with it is Dowd, but it went off Zelepukin. Shaw hit by Zelepukin. Terreri missed that one, but it is Albeline there quickly to handle. Back along now for Dowd, who walks it ahead in a 3-on-3. Jim Dowd moving on for the Devils. Dowd tries to get a pass through, but Iafrate is there. Couple of Devils collide, and back on with it is Iafrate. Poke checked away. Ben Hankinson with it. Flips it, but off Cherkowski. They have to wait to get onside, and they are as of right now. 8:22 to go in the third. 4-3 Boston ahead. Scott Stevens looks the traffic over, hands to McLean. McLean along now for Bernie Nichols, but offside.
The Bruins playing confident defensive hockey right now. They're not sitting back. The Devils really haven't got the puck into the zone for any of the kind of chances that they're going to have to get if they want to tie this score up. Bernie Nichols has played so well here in Boston. One of his favorite buildings, because you have to be a smart player to play well here, and Bernie Nichols is a smart hockey player.
Well, it's Stevens over to Niedermeyer, and it's pitched back in. During the stoppage, they flashed up a couple of scores from the World Hockey Championships in Italy today. Finland shut out the U.S. 8-0, and it was 6-0 Canada over Sweden. Here is Lemieux trying to tie this one. Centering pass has thrown it away. Turned around to the front. Oh, and it went away from Lemieux. Nichols with a shot. He scores! Bernie Nichols has tied the game at 4.
You know, something that you expect, someone just reminded me of something you expect when teams get the lead in playoffs, to be able to control the leads. This is the second time in this game for the Bruins to blow the lead or give the lead back, and the Devils have twice had the lead and given it back to the Boston Bruins. Bernie Nichols, who we just talked about, he is so calm in that scoring area. Nichols comes up with a huge goal in this hockey game, and now everything settles down, the crowd, and we get back to that next goal hockey game again.
Our fourth trip to square one. Chorsky turned aside by Casey. Devils led 1-0 and 2-1. And then the Bruins 3-2 and 4-3. Even at 4, 7.5, right on the nose to go here in the third period. Sent back in by Driver. Around behind it, Shaw. Checked by Chorsky. But David Shaw, the ex-Ranger, emerges and puts it ahead on the stick of Donato. Donato bringing it on. Smolinski trying to get by. Nice denial by Driver. Chopped along to the corner. Kent Danico strides over to get it there. Danico just spirits it back down. Shift change coming for the Devils, and they'll be able to do it after the whistle for the icing touch-up. 7:02 remaining. Nichols from Lemieux and John McLean, the official scoring on the goal at 12-12.
One thing that's interesting, both of these clubs have gone full bench. No one has shortened their bench yet. All 6 defensemen are being used for both teams. All 4 lines are being used for both teams.
Dowd and Oates. Hughes and Murray, the wingers. Albeline able to kick it through. Wesley kept one. Popped right off of Hankinson and into the glove of Terreri. So another face-off near Chris Terreri. Boy, getting to be pretty dramatic here, and in a rare moment this Boston Garden has gone quiet. Part of it because of the Devils' goal, and part of it because I think the fans are a little tired too.
Well, I think the fans realize that if the Devils win this game, all that work, hard work in the first 2 games is sort of negated.
Wesley saved Terreri. Calmly he waits for another one.
Somebody threw something on the ice, and the funny thing is Bernie Nichols could see it being thrown on the ice, but Oates couldn't. I think Nichols took his eye off the puck just for a second. And that's when the referee dropped the puck.
Quite a spate of that here, and it's sort of surprising. Knowledgeable fans like this, as you would assume, are here at playoff time, would do this as much as they did in the last game, too, and actually hurt their club by doing it.
Glenn Wesley, his 7th year in the National Hockey League. Statistically, his best year.
This is Wesley firing. Oh, and he didn't miss it by much. The net was dislodged, but it came right back on. Casey swung it across to Bork. And then ahead for Hughes. Big ooh went up from the crowd on that one. Here's Murray moving in. Terreri able to block that one away, and now it's McLean ahead to Bernie Nichols. He's got Lemieux on the wing, trying to help it to him, but just too far. It is Shaw, checked by Lemieux. Along the boards they battle. It's Hughes rammed by Nichols, and back ahead comes Adam Oates. Oates with 3 assists in this game. Feeds one for Shaw, but that went off his leg. Nichols darting to it for the Devils, pats it back out to Zelepukin. Zelepukin unable to fight his way by Iafrate, and Reed pitches it back out. Scott Stevens back along now for Nichols again. Nichols able to roll it back in. 6 minutes even to go in the third. Game tied at 4. Shift change for the Devils. They bring out Alvaline to work on defense with Smith. Hankinson still up front along with Dowd and Zelepukin. Long pass went all the way down. There'll be no icing here. Chris Terreri sets it for Smith. Put it by Cherkowski, but pinching in is Reed. Dumping it around, and Smith there. Cherkowski on him. Reed trying to jam it free, but can't. Now Smith with body position. Help came from Dowd. Back off for Hankinson, kept by Roberts. Second effort by Hankinson, and a third might be necessary, but it's over to Alvaline. Off the glass, played by Stumple. Rammed by Hankinson. It is Bork leading it right back for the Bruins. Bork fires one wide, hoping for the bounce that came to Alvaline. Tommy Alvaline through the legs on the backhand to Hankinson. 5 minutes, 13 seconds to go. A steal, and Donato around behind. Couldn't center because of Alvaline. Tommy Alvaline tripped up on the play, trying to clear it along as Hankinson. Puck back to the point. Gordy Roberts with it there. Roberts looking for Cherkowski, and a misfire to the opposite point.
Terreri had lost his stick.
Now he has to tap some debris away. Puck back to Bork for a shot. Deflected away by Terreri. Down to the ice go Hines and Donato. Along with it is Ken Danico, able to force it up the boards and take his own toss. Tipped back down by Chorsky, and now it's Bork. Menaced by Bobby Carpenter. Bork spun around, and a penalty coming up. On the Modell scoreboard. The game even with 4:37 left.
2 minutes in the penalty box. He takes a penalty on Bork, and this is a long way away from the play. Here's the last save by Chris Terreri as the net popped up and over, and everyone driving towards the net right now. You'll see Carpenter reach around, pulls down Bork, and as I said, that's 150 feet away from the net.
Well, the Bruins on the power play. A 4-4 deadlock. The Devils trying to clear this one, but it's nudged back to Bork. Across to Iafrate. Now Iafrate able to shake. Driver pass in front, tipped away by Stevens. Mariusz Cherkowski up with it there. Drops it back in deep for Oates. Murray steps to the front. Bork there. Fires one that's deflected by Lemieux. Played by Oates. Right back to Bork again. Ricocheted one off of Oates that's played by Cherkowski. Tried to trickle one through. Scott Stevens able to wedge along with Lemieux. But Cherkowski back to the point to Bork again. Shovels back onto Cherkowski. Ray Bork waits, then Cherkowski has trouble controlling, and Stevens flies it back down. 45 seconds gone on the kill.
And it was a very, very hot day here in Boston, and the ice is getting a little bit sluggish, and the players are starting to take shorter shifts. Fatigue is starting to become a factor.
The puck to Nichols, off the glove of Iafrate and back down. Now halfway through the power play, 3 minutes and 31 seconds to go in regulation. It's tied at 4. Stumble ahead, checked off by Tommy Alvaline. Tom Chorsky wheels it back down.
Nice communication right there between Danico and Chorsky. Danico said to him, you've got time, spin it back up the boards.
Smolinski. Al Iafrate, 35 to go on the power play. Iafrate had it blocked away by Alvaline and played on by McLean, right in on goal and blocked aside by Casey. More time continues to go off the clock. 3 minutes to go in regulation, 4-4 tie, and 20 still for the Devils to kill.
And look who's out there again, Jimmy Dowd, getting more and more ice time for the Devils.
Smolinski moving in. Ryan Smolinski now deliberately back to Bork and off his stick. Ray Bork's pass escapes for Niedermayer. Nothing out of that power play for the Boston Bruins, and out of the box is Carpenter. Driven back in by Shaw. Around the rail to Niedermayer. Has trouble though. Oates back to the point. Wesley a shot blocked down by Stevens. And Stevens able to flip it back to neutral ice.
Just a great penalty killing effort by the Devils, especially again Scott Stevens, who was out there for about a minute and a half.
Hughes moves it back in deep. Around the boards near Niedermayer. Chopped back along by Murray. It rolls on its edge on the rail. Hughes to play it there. Trying for Oates. Holik in his way. Bobby Holik and Oates go down. Hughes and Driver crunch the boards. It's kicked up to Murray. Glenn Murray rolls it back and Driver takes it. Under 2 minutes to go regulation. Back up the wall now for Stephane Richer. Richer striding ahead for the New Jersey Devils. He's got the big shot. Fires one, and it's caught by Casey and shunted right off for Shaw to play to Oates. 1:42 to go in regulation time as Danico plays it along. Sweeney has some trouble. Richer trying to step ahead. It's an onside play, but possession lost to the Bruins, and it's Shaw right back. David Shaw wedged off. This would have been offside. Now Shaw deals it around. Terreri behind the net to stop and set for Stevens. Stevens dropped one back off it. Ricocheted to Dowd. 1 minute 20 seconds to go. Dowd laid one to the corner. Zelepukin striding in after it. Bork and he cancel around behind, and it's Bork emerging with it. Bork's pass on the money for Hines. Eyed up by Scott Stevens. Hines tries to go by and can't, and no matter. It's an offside play. Just some love taps and grabs.
Nobody wanted to get that stick up right now. Valeri Zelepukin scored the first goal in this hockey game, and he has played so hard and so strong through these playoffs.
You mentioned the every other day competition that the Devils have had since the middle of April. It doesn't seem to wear on this guy, but in terms of the number of hits that anyone other than Peluso and McKay have registered, he's probably have to have the highest, maybe McKay and Holik.
Well, and when you throw in the fact that he takes hits, a lot of guys will sort of maybe not run at McKay and maybe not run at Peluso. Zelepukin takes as many hard hits as any player I've ever seen.
Niedermayer, but along off of Reed. Smolinski, Carpenter on him. In the final minute of regulation, and our game is tied at 4. Scott Stevens for New Jersey. Back up the boards. It ricocheted off Hines. Richer back on for Tom Chorsky. Feathers one ahead, trying to get it to Carpenter, but instead it's Don Sweeney. Back along off the referee skates. Richer in a defensive mode, now shifts to offense again. Wrapped up by Reed. Still fighting for it, and help came from Chorsky. Devils have to get a measure of control. Niedermayer then along to Chorsky in the final half minute. Able to lay it on his backhand in deep. Brent Hughes unmolested to take it. Devils in the midst of what might be their last change. On comes Hughes trying to hop by. Freight train down by Claude Lemieux and Danico in the final 17 seconds. Gets it back across for John McLean. Wanted to work it through to Nichols, but an offside call with 12.8 to go.
Well, game 2 went into overtime. A 6-5 victory by the Boston Bruins. Don Sweeney getting the goal. Unless there's a miracle for one team or the other, it looks like we're going into overtime here in game 4. And the Devils 0-2 so far in overtimes. They lost, as we mentioned, game 2, and they go back to that game 6. 65 minutes and 43 seconds of overtime in Buffalo.
What are you saying? Bruins in overtime are 1 win and 1 loss. Well, on comes Wesley. Terreri makes the stop, and that was not simple. Albaline back off, and you'll hear a siren, and that'll signal there'll be 4 periods at least tonight. Bernie Nichols got the tying goal with 7:48 to go. And it seemed to get a little conservative, as you might expect.
It got very conservative. The only real time you were thinking, okay, here's a scoring opportunity, was when the Bruins went on the power play, Bobby Carpenter's penalty. But they didn't have a real tremendous scoring opportunity.
The shots in the 3rd period were 11-11. Overall, through 60 minutes, 37 for the Bruins, 29 for New Jersey, 4-4. All right.
Teddy Shuck, our trainer, the next couple days, and you know, we're just going to do what we can, and you know, hopefully get back for Monday.
Bill, the 3 periods of play, what is your feeling about the way the game has gone so far?
I think it's been a great game. Both teams are playing really well. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity out there, and you know, that's what you have to do to win these games. Hopefully, you know, we can get one here in overtime, but I think you know, the Devils are looking pretty good, and they're playing a pretty sound game.
Devils very resilient, particularly in the latter part of the game, twice rallying. Now, in the overtime, obviously, Coach Jacques Lemaire is going to have a few words with the team. What do you think his strategy is? What do you think he'd like the team to do in the overtime?
Well, I think he's just going to have them, you know, stay with the same system. Not to take too many chances, but whenever we get an opportunity to shoot the puck and put every puck we can on net. It's a small rink. The puck gets, you know, from behind the net, you know, to the front very quickly, and you know, the neutral zone's small, so once you get over the red line, it's a good chance to score.
Bruins are not a flawless team, neither are the Devils for that matter. Is there any particular weakness you see in the Boston team that you feel that the Devils might exploit in the overtime?
I don't know. It's tough to say. You know, you got to respect their team a lot. You know, for what they've done and the way they've played tonight. You know, I don't think they really have too many weaknesses tonight. I don't think we do either. But like I said, you know, the weakness is going to be in goal, I think, for them, and it'd be to our advantage to put everything we can on net and see if we can get a lucky one. In the overtime against the marathon overtime against Buffalo, it was a very, very tight type of hockey, and then the overtime that was played at Byrne Arena against the Bruins, it seemed to be end-to-end. What do you see in this one? Same thing. I definitely, the whole game's been end-to-end, and I don't think it's going to change. I'm not an expert on overtime or anything like that, but you know, I don't think the game's going to change much. There's going to be a lot of emotion, and there's a lot riding on this game. There's a huge difference between you know, being down 3-1 and being tied 2-2. It seems to me that one of the points that would be to the Devils' advantage is moving the puck out of the zone from behind the net, getting control of the puck. The Bruins seem to be doing some pretty good forechecking in that regard. You're a pretty smart guy. Well, I mean, I've only been studying the game as long as Mike Emmerich and Peter McNibb. Thanks for that one. Let me ask you this. In this particular rink, in the Garden, in an overtime, do you try to bank the puck when you're on the attack? Do you try to bank it off the corners and get a bounce back to your guys? Yeah, if you keep the puck low, right in the bottom dasher, then you know, the puck's gonna bounce right out in front for you. If you tend to get it up a little bit or in the glass, the boards are pretty soft in the middle, and you know, the glass the puck's just gonna hit it and die right down. So you can get some good opportunities like that. You know, if you can beat that defenseman one-on-one, and you can you know, get some good shots. Billy, thanks for taking the time to come. Thanks, Stan. Okay, we'll have more of the pre-overtime show right after this.
Game. I think both of them have played very well. It's the idea that there's so much action. Both of these clubs are doing one thing very well, and that's driving towards the net. The clubs have a lot of people right in front of the net, and that's what's caused some of the goal-mouth scrambles that'll let the goals.
Take a look at the overtime in terms of goaltenders and what their past Stanley Cup experience has been. John Casey has won 2 overtime games in his career and dropped 3. One of those losses was to Vincent Riendeau when Casey was with Minnesota and Riendeau was with the St. Louis Blues. Riendeau's record is 1-0. Martin Brodeur has been in 2 overtime outings, won the marathon and one earlier in this series. He's lost them both, and Chris Terreri's loss was a couple of years ago in a sudden death overtime contest. But everything becomes new this year, and in this series, especially if the Devils can win it, then it becomes a best-of-3.
Well, that's the big key, I think, for the Devils. That's what they're talking about right now. The fact that if someone had said to them at the start of this 2-game set here in Boston, we'll get you into overtime of the 4th game with a chance to even this series, I guarantee the Devils would have taken it.
Well, Ben Hankinson had one huge goal, and Bernie Nichols had another one for the New Jersey Devils. We're going to take a look at some highlights from the 3rd period of our contest when we come back to Boston Garden in just a moment. American Express would like you to know how it unfolded in the 3rd. Hankinson, his first ever Stanley Cup goal from Dowden Driver at 144, tied it. Then it was Murray, his second of the game, from Oates and Shaw at 10:31. And Bernie Nichols at 12:12 from Lemieux and McLean. And we take a look at the highlights brought to you by the United States Postal Service.
Bad line change by the Bruins. Confusion on the ice, and all of a sudden Jimmy Dowd, who is coming right through the center ice zone, will find Hankinson on the right side. Dowd, who already had an assist in the game, gets his second one here on a perfect shot by Hankinson. Hankinson, as we mentioned, his first ever playoff game, gets his first ever playoff goal.
Then with the score tied, we bobbed and weaved back and forth for over 8 minutes before somebody went ahead.
The Devils had control of the puck. They lost control. Shaw makes a nice play, but watch at the top part of your screen. Murray's wide open. He walks in and just hammers another perfect pass by Adam Oates to give the Bruins a 4-3 lead.
But we didn't have to go 8 minutes before the next goal. As a matter of fact, it was only about 90 seconds.
And McLean, Lemieux, and Nichols, the veterans for the Devils, combine here, and Nichols does a good job of getting away from his check Sweeney and pops the puck up over Casey. Nichols with great hands and that great ability to be patient in the scoring zone tied this game at 4.
We'll be back with sudden death overtime in just a moment. Trip when they play the Expos in Montreal. That's the Mets and the Expos Monday night at 7:30, live for you on News Sport. Both of these teams entering their third overtime contest of these playoffs. Only 3 of the remaining 8 teams have not played an overtime game. Washington and New York and the San Jose Sharks. They have not needed overtime most times and all times. Either won or lost it in 60.
The Bruins have played 1 overtime game here at the Boston Gardens, and that was that memorable 60 save performance by Patrick Waugh, April 25th. The Montreal Canadiens on Kirk Muller's goal beat the Bruins 2-1 in overtime, and that's when I thought the Montreal Canadiens had the Bruins team beat. They were up 3-2 heading back to Montreal for Game 6. The Bruins came back to win that game 3-2, and finally in the Game 7 back here at Boston 5-3.
There you see some of the all-time totals in overtime. Meanwhile, here's Murray, stepped into by Niedermeyer. Murray around behind. Puck squirted loose to Carpenter, played it along, kept alive though by Hughes. Ryan Sutter goes with his best at the start. Murray, a shot that's deflected high. Off the glass, Murray spun around by Niedermeyer. Puck underneath, and so Stevens there, and pulling it free is Niedermeyer, and playing a pass on to Richer. Went through Sweeney and back down. Ray Bourque pursued by Chorski. Bourque drove it back off. Here's Richer moving up with it. Stephane Richer, a pass across. And it is Nichols brushing it along. Bourque able to flip it back. Bruce Driver will go back to get it. Quick shift change, only 45 seconds with that first game.
And much like the game that Stan Fischler talked about, Game 2 at the Meadowlands, the pace is quick here. Look, it looks like one of those games. The goal might be scored in the first 5 minutes.
Here is Smolinski. Could not get by Bruce Driver. Tried for Lemieux, but angled back in by Hines. Ken Danico behind his own goal. 70 seconds have been played in the first overtime period, and a steal by Smolinski. Hines, a shot is grabbed by Terreri. Oh, a high shot that Terreri was able to get.
Well, the Devils have got to get themselves a shake. They gave the puck away 3 times in the first minute and 15 seconds. And each time it led to a potential scoring opportunity. Right there, another one. But 3 times in their own zone, they put the puck right on the Boston Bruins stick. I mean, that's just disaster.
Well, a change in order, and it's made. Jim Dowd will come out with Zelepukin, as well as Ben Hankinson. For the Bruins, it'll be Stumple as well as Reed. And across the way, Cherkowski. Devils control the faceoff. Scott Stevens pass, flicked up to Hankinson, kept by Gordy Roberts. Roberts angled it back in. Reed around behind, has some room. Reed dropped it off to Cherkowski. Cherkowski trying to shake Niedermeyer. A little pick on him. Cherkowski around behind. Cherkowski forced Don Koharski out of the corner. Puck to the back to Iafrate now. Iafrate flips one, and that held by Terreri. Devils have only been down in the end right close to us for about 10 seconds.
They chased the puck into the Bruins zone one time. Here's a guy you have to keep your eye on if you're the New Jersey Devils. You wonder how much freedom. Ray Bourque can do whatever he wants on the ice because he makes great decisions. But you wonder how much Brian Sutter frees up Al Iafrate in these overtimes. For Jacques Lemaire, he knows this first minute and a half, minute 40 seconds have not been solid for the Devils.
The change he makes this time is to bring Carpenter out to answer the change of Brian Sutter, which has Adam Oates there. Hughes and Murray. Good face-off win by Carpenter. Stevens rolls it around, and Bobby Carpenter steps to it. Bourque able to keep it alive. Quick shot. Blocked off by Chris Terreri. Turnaround shot by Hughes, saved Terreri, and it's thrown away by Carpenter. And that up into the seats, and it continues to be Boston in overtime.
Well, Mike, again, that's 5 times now the Devils have had control of the puck in their zone and have either given it up to the point man or given it away to players. Right there, the Devils have the puck. Bourque keeps it in. And you're flirting with real trouble right here in this hockey game. Terreri can only withstand so many of these assaults.
He has faced 3 shots, gotten them all, and they've all been high.
Oh, I'm sure that's something that you talk about. The fact that if you're tired and you're a goaltender, you're probably going to be going down. And if you're just going to shoot the puck and you really don't know where to shoot it, well, then you might as well shoot it high. And couple that with the fact that Terreri seemed to have had a little trouble a couple of times with high shots.
John McLean from the face-off. Wedges one that is off the glove of Murray. Pitched on back. Driver up with it. Game 4, the best of 7. Bruins lead the series 2-1. We're in sudden death overtime, tied at 4. Another game coming up on Monday night at the Meadowlands, and we'll have that for you at 7:30. The pregame show at 7. Icing called and the face-off to be brought back near Terreri. 3 overtime shots, and all of them off Bruin sticks. We played 2:10.
Well, when the Devils are having trouble like this, getting the puck out of their zone, that's the pressure comes on Nichols. Carpenter, Jimmy Dowd, Bobby Holik, the center iceman for the Devils, have to come up with a big, tough performance right now because the Bruins are really taking it to them. They're pinching in, they're staying low, being very aggressive with their forechecking.
Oates and Nichols for the draw. Walking away with it is John McLean. John McLean moving back ahead with it. McLean a pass over to Nichols. Nichols pulling loose, can't get a pass away, and Bourque makes the Devils chase it. Chris Terreri out of his net to block it for Albaline. Tommy Albaline spins it back around. John McLean to take it there, moving out with Nichols, but the pass to Sweeney. Tapped along by Driver. Nice little tap to Lemieux, then along for McLean, but away from him. And Sweeney. Sweeney took a whack from Lemieux. Puck turned off of John McLean. McLean pitched one to the front and on. Bourque stick handling right in front of his own net. Driver closed off Murray, and Nichols at center ice. Devils recoil and the drop back in. It's Sweeney again, pursued by McLean. Shakes it over for Bourque. Bourque's pass taken by Stéphane Richer. Off the glass, it swirled behind McLean, unable to fidget to the front. Now it's Hines. Laying one out that's slowed by Richer, brought on by Hughes up the wing, but it'll be called back on an offside. Turned into the net by the Bruins, and they'll have to answer for that as the Devils come over to take them to task. Well, there is an unwritten code about things like that.
And a rookie, Smolenski, will learn it.
There was one that's partly written and partly unwritten about checking the goaltender. And then there's the other after a whistle of continuing to try to score and putting it in. So how will Don Koharski deal with all this? 3:11 into the first sudden death overtime period.
He'll just let it go, I'm sure.
And that is the case. A neutral ice face-off to result. The troubleshooting referee who has worked more 7th games in the last decade than any other official. And oftentimes when things get squirrely, he winds up being assigned in to take control.
Things get squirrely?
Well, they have those here too. I think we've seen animal and insect life of about every kind during our 3 days here. Well, Smolinski to take the draw with Bobby Holik. 40 shots Bruins, 29 shots Devils, 4 goals apiece. Over 2 lines to Randy McKay, and play stopped again. Niedermayer and Stevens, the defense combination for Jacques Lemaire. This is Holik with Richer and McKay.
Washington Capitals now ahead 4-2 over the New York Rangers. Rangers getting the last goal. Noonan pulling them back within 2.
Rangers trying for a sweep in that series. 5th game would be back at Madison Square Garden Monday, just as we will definitely have regarding the outcome here in this series. Here's Holik working ahead for Randy McKay. Gordy Roberts goes back deep to play it. McKay forcing him. Puck came back near Holik, but Donato nudges on, and it's carried out by Smolinski. Off the glass, Chris Terreri saw it bounce off the back of his goal. Randy McKay, close quarters, able to pass for Niedermayer. Brushed along, but kept by Reed. Here's Reed shooting one that's blocked down. Hustling back up ice with it is Niedermayer. Moving on with Richer. Niedermayer pulling off, flipping one that went wide. Bobby Holik given a good hit by Stumple. Still they spar for it along the boards, and Roberts able to go circle to Shaw, then back up for Reed. Flipped one ahead that's cut off by Bruce Driver. Nice pass along, tipped in deep by Holik. Racing in for it is Zelepukin. Zelepukin first one there, able to escape Shaw's check. Goes right after the puck. Zelepukin again, thumped by Cherkowski. Stumple rammed by Hankinson. To the point, Driver firing, and that hit off of Dow. Played now by Reed. Bruce Driver, the little tap to Danico. They drive it back around and fix their bayonets and head for it, but it's tipped back out again off of Driver. Cherkowski went down. Puck sent along for Dowd. Dowd able to trickle it back in on his backhand. Shift change for New Jersey.
Another big shift for Ben Hankinson. He caused that turnover, and Driver had the puck. Great play by Driver to wait for players to get in front to go for the screen.
Reed rolls it back in. Terreri out to slow it. Danico fires it back around. Bort able to kick it along. Glove steered loose, and then the puck, and Hughes a shot that is kicked aside. Now Adam Oates twirling with it. His pass is slowed. Richer able to move back up with Chorsky. Stephane Richer moves to the Sweeney side. Richer back for Chorsky, and play is stopped on an offside.
Stephane Richer can take the blue line to blue line and make it disappear about as fast as any player in the National Hockey League. Just wasn't quite timed enough, because it was a well set up. It looked like Carpenter, who got the pass from Richer, was going to be open. Watch how quickly. First a shot right here. But after that, Richer was able to get that puck and just explode through the neutral ice zone.
Tommy Albaline back across to Stevens. Hacked right into the glove of Casey, and it looked like it knuckleballed a bit. Sweeney fires it back off. Stevens controlling. Flown back in again. Going to get it is Sweeney. Don Sweeney's pass across now to Bork. Right back to Sweeney once more. Moving ahead. Had an opening, but it closed. Onside play. Pitched along by Sweeney. Tapped back out by Stevens. Brought on by Lemieux. Watched by Sweeney. Lemieux trying to get by, but no matter, an offside.
Boy, it is hard to hear the whistles.
It is.
There's been 3 now that have been blown, and the players have reacted, but I haven't heard them at all.
I didn't hear that one, but I was just watching for the signal by Gord Brossiker at the lines, and he did point right away rather than wave his arms across in an onside motion. So that's our only clue.
Johnny McLean, whose assist on Nichols' goal made this a 4-4 hockey game. It's hit the stick, and that's when it was dropping in a hurry. Casey made a nice reaction save.
Driver winds it around. Al Iafrate accelerating for the Bruins defense. Met by McKay. That broke the play down. Driver flicks it back. Iafrate drives it around. It came right to Niedermayer. Off his stick, but he recovers. Bobby Holik back to Niedermeyer. But Driver doing some coverage there. Niedermeyer's stick is broken. He hustles to the bench to get a replacement. Meanwhile, you're watching as Wesley plays.
Now Niedermeyer has Tommy Abelin's stick. We'll see if that makes a difference on this shift.
Iafrate back out. Puck laid ahead. Scott Niedermeyer with it. Played by Smolinski right back in. Smolinski wanted to work it up the wing. Donato turnaround shot. Cut off by Niedermeyer with the Abilene stick. And on now it's McKay. Waving at that one and knocking it down is Stumple. Thrown on back by Cam Stewart. Sweeney had a little trouble. Dowd on him, but it's Bork. The experienced Ray Bork played it back on for Reed, who had to drop back. He and Dowd up. Still they spar for it, and emerging is Stumple. For Cherkowski, but punched away by Driver. Sweeney, and back in again. Cherkowski bumped by Driver as Terreri sets for Niedermeyer. 12:45 left in the first overtime period. Our tie score is 4. Sent by Hankinson and down. Bork going back for the icing touch-up and play a stop.
We're getting a little more liquids here ourselves. It's got to be getting awfully warm down there, or it's been warm all night.
Now, has this started to settle in like you thought after the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, after the Devils calmed down. There was one particular play that I was watching. So look at the two goaltenders who obviously will be, one will be a hero, one will be a goat. Well, the Washington Capitals have extended the New York Rangers to at least a Game 5. They win that one 4-2. Send it back to Madison Square Garden May 9th, Monday.
Offensive zone face-off for the Bruins. Up with it is Hughes. Hughes turning. Wanted to feed to the slot for Murray. Hughes again. Sidled up to by Stevens. It's Carpenter wanting to jam it. Murray a pass. And it's out to Hughes. A shot blocked down. Oh, and a diving play by Ken Danico to flip it back down the ice. Oh, the Bruins were all around Chris Terreri with some opportunities, but Danico made the big block in front.
And it's just frantic time when you're a defenseman. You do anything you can. You just move bodies, you dive, you poke, and Kenny Danico, great example of it. Watch Danico number 3 this whole shift. He's going to be in the center of your screen right now. He comes back, puck will go out, he goes down, he sees it going over, he just dives and makes a great desperation clearing of a puck.
Scott Stevens on defense, hands it back up the boards for John McLean. Banked one that hit off Sweeney. Chopped ahead by Claude Lemieux. Rushing in is Bernie Nichols. Nichols a drive, and it went off Casey. Murray able to fling it back down. No icing on this play. Chris Terreri out, hands it over to Tommy Abeline. Sudden death overtime. 8 minutes have been played. Tie score is 4. Cherkowski flings it back in. Abeline and Stevens, the Devils' defense. Nichols along with McLean and Claude Lemieux. Stumple working with Reed and Cherkowski for the Bruins. And the defense is Wesley as well as Shaw. Wesley cut that one off, lost it to Nichols. He just flopped one back that David Shaw goes to get in another shift change for New Jersey. Scoreboard clock ticks down to 11:30. The time not significant. The score is, and it's tied. Stumple moves ahead. Fired one that's deflected back. Jim Dowd able to fish one ahead. Went off Zelepukin, gloved it down. Follow-up comes from Dowd to Abeline, and they brush it in deep. David Shaw goes back, takes the tap from Casey. Hankinson couldn't get there in time to block it, and it's Reed back up the boards. Reed rammed by Zelepukin. On comes Stumple with Reed. Stumple a drive, and a save made by Terreri. Jason Smith tries to work it back up the boards, away from Zelepukin. It comes back near Roberts, but Zelepukin has it. Tries for Hankinson, but Cherkowski in the way. Floated back where Reed is without a stick now. Zelepukin on to Driver, and he dumped it right in on Casey. Devils make a change. The Bruins in the midst of doing the same.
And both clubs right now, short shifts.
Ken Danico back out there again with Bruce Driver. Danico roaring around behind. Fires it back up the boards. It's off Stewart. Neutralized Iafrate. Pops one right back in that Danico takes. Zelepukin and Richer. Hankinson and Nichols the goal scorers for New Jersey. Murray with 2. Bork and Hughes with 1 each for Boston. Richer gets a little pass over to Danico. Guides it across to Driver. Driver turned it up the wing for Carpenter. Tried for Richer. That failed. Carpenter shoots one. And it's held by Casey and play it stopped.
Well, hockey right now gets about as basic as it can get. When you've got the puck, you put it up the boards. When you've got a chance, you shoot it. And that's what both of these clubs are doing right now. See, Bobby Carpenter just unloads it on the right side of your screen. That puck had dropped for a second. That was a stick of Stéphane Richer that we saw going through the screen. Now, the Devils have only won one overtime playoff game in their history. That was here at the Boston Gardens. Dougie Brown.
That was in the exciting spring of '88. The Devils would like to extend the excitement this spring and make this thing even, and they can if they get the next goal. Bourque flipped it along, and it went off and down. No icing, and so Terreri out to play it. Hands over to Scott Niedermayer. Niedermayer shuttles it off to Stevens. Then Stevens on the backhand right up the boards to Lemieux. Back to Stevens again, and then Niedermayer tries his side for McLean, and it's swept back down. Casey watching this one as an icing touch-up comes from Bourque. Downstairs to Stan Fischler.
Well, what I've seen at ice level is a Boston hockey team that has the advantage in the overtime. At the beginning of the overtime, the Devils seemed very tight in the way they were handling the puck. And one of the things I notice about the Bruins is they seem to be tossing it into the Devils zone on a bounce, seemingly trying to get the puck over a Devils defenseman's stick. But the Devils are icing the puck much more than the Bruins, and it's going to cost them if they don't watch out. It's very important that they win these faceoffs if they do the icing. Here we go.
From the faceoff, the Devils do win it, and Scott Stevens has it. Back off the boards. Jaworski able to deflect, but Bourque turned it along on the turning stick of Hughes. Lays it off for Adam Oates. Onside play as Oates jammed it in. Scott Stevens took it there. Back off for Richer. Puck back to Sweeney. Sweeney fires one, and that one cradled by Bernie Nichols as he went to his knees.
Well, for the Boston Bruins defensemen, they're staying in the zone. They're standing up at the blue line. A couple of times they've trapped the puck to keep the Devils in trouble. Nichols has done a great job on defensive faceoffs against Oates. He seems to be playing the stick of Oates and allowing one of his defensive partners or the winger to come in, take the puck from in behind him.
Well, he's grabbed it for that backhand draw, and he wins it again. It is Scott Stevens along for Zelepukin, who knifed it down. Zelepukin's pass on to Ben Hankinson's stick. Floats one that is cradled by John Casey and sent aside for Shaw. Off the glass, it's smacked to Zelepukin. Tried to feed one in the slot for Dowd, but that failed. Zelepukin again with it. Right back into the corner. Shaw around behind. Hit by Hankinson. Puck taken by Cherkowski. Cherkowski floated one ahead that was slowed down by Dowd, but sent to the corner by Reed. Squibbed crazily to Stevens and lost off the back of the goal. Now it's Hankinson, but it's kept by Wesley. Shovels one in front that ricocheted off a stick and off Alvaline. Along it comes now for Shaw. Popped one back for Reed. Reed has it, gives it over. Stumple feeds to the back. Roberts a drive and a save made by Terreri. Oh, right back up comes Zelepukin. Turned back over to the Bruins again. Stepping back in is Reed. Alvaline is on him. Dave Reed pestered by Alvaline. Cherkowski comes by. Close quarters over for Reed. Sent down by Ben Hankinson. It squirts from 4 players and is brought back up by Alvaline. 8:15 left in the first overtime. Tie score here at Boston Garden is 4. Roberts plays it back on to Smolinski. Met there by Randy McKay. Puck nudged back in. Terreri waiting to play it. Sets for Jason Smith. Back off the board. Smolinski hands to Roberts. Wanted to shoot one, but decided to play the heart around. Taken by Driver. Down to the ice went Hines. Fans upset. Hines again around behind. Bodied there by Holik. Steve Hines trying to muscle his way to the front. Smolinski in as they jam away at it, and Smolinski turns. Met there by Smith. Puck over to Bobby Holik. Lays it off for McKay, and it's tipped back down. This will be an icing, as going back for it is Isaiah Brady. Clock stopped with 7:34 to go in the first OT.
Well, the pressure continues to be on that man right there, Chris Terreri. Terreri is just, and again, a lot of times you're judging just shots, but a lot of times it's also the pressure. Terreri had to feel the pressure, know the players that were around him. He knows if he gives up a rebound on that shot right in front, someone's going to have a great opportunity to end this hockey game. So he forces that rebound away from the net. A good play by Chris Terreri.
He has faced 5, Casey 4 in the overtime. Bourque with a shot, and it ricocheted off a leg. Claude Lemieux starts back up ice with it. Lemieux lays to the Nichols corner. Puck handled by Sweeney, though. Dropped back off, and Casey hands over to Bourque. Lemieux and Nichols and McLean. Driver as well as Danico for New Jersey. Sweeney walking it on for the Bruins now, met by a wall at the line, pushes it through. Ken Danico around behind to play for the Devils defense. Back up the boards for McLean, and McLean one-times it off Sweeney. Sweeney back, Lemieux hawking him as the forechecker. Sweeney able to jab one that goes up into the seats, and the face-off will be back in the Bruins defensive end, and Sweeney and his adversary seemingly all night long, Claude Lemieux, have another session. We mentioned the shots were 5-4 Boston, but the quality of Boston shots has been far higher.
Well, the Devils shots, a lot of them have been from a long ways out that Casey has been able to field. But boy, you can just see it. Both of these clubs knowing how important this hockey game, the intensity, every play. I mean, it clearly could be the series riding on any one play that's made in this particular game, because the options are Bruins up 3-1, Devils go home tied 2-2.
Jacques Lemaire talking things over, encouraging his players as you look at this face-off involving Carpenter and Stumple. That's just away from Stevens, who will drop back. Stevens and Niedermeyer the defense. Richer, Chorsky, and Carpenter up front. Cherkowski and Stumple and Reed the forwards for Boston. Wesley working defense with David Shaw, who knocks that one down. Shaw just drilled it back in. Chris Terreri and John Casey the goalies. Terreri has set that one up, and Stevens with the perfect pass on now to Carpenter, then to Chorsky. Chorsky has to regather, given a good bump for his trouble by Reed. Reed's pass on to Cherkowski again. Works that one back in deep. Going back to get it is Scott Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer banked it back around the wall. Moving back up with it is Stevens. Nice pass on that was across 2 lines, though, to Tom Chorsky. And so the clock stopped again. 6:17 showing on the clock. Time remaining in the first sudden death overtime period. In case you're just joining us, the Devils had a 1-0 lead, then it was even. 2-1 and then even. The Bruins went ahead 3-2 and then even. And 4-3 and then it was even by Nichols with 7:48 left in the third.
You look for players during the overtime period that have a little extra jump, that are breaking into holes. One of the indicators of a player that's tired, if he goes to his position and he stands there, almost as if he's kind of trying to catch his breath while he's in position. The one guy for the Devils that I've been watching is Stephane Richer. He still is jumping into the holes wanting that puck.
Wesley across to Iafrate. Jim Dowd closed on. Iafrate moves back in with it again. Puck brushed aside by Hankinson and back out. Jim Dowd tripped up. Hankinson trying to start by, able to send it along. Oh, Wesley hit hard by Zelepukin. Meanwhile, Iafrate takes under 6 minutes to go in this overtime period. A pass along now to Reed. Dave Reed moving back up. Shoots one that's deflected into the seats, and the clock stopped again. Well, you were mentioning earlier that the teams are pretty much rolling 4 lines worth of players. So unlike in the Buffalo series, when we look down to see who was fresh at the bench, you wouldn't find hardly anyone on either of these 2 teams that's been laid out enough to be fresh.
No. For the Devils right now, they're giving Stephane Richer a little extra ice time. He's being double shifted at this point in the hockey game. And I think one of the reasons why is that Jacques Lemaire has seen that, you know, he does seem to have. And he's got the kind of body that can do that. He's a long, lean, even though he's 6'1", 6'2", 215 pounds. He's very long. And he doesn't have a lot of that bulky muscle sort of weight. And he's able to stay fresh, it seems, for long periods of time. And Ray Bourque can skate all night.
Pretty simple, huh?
Yeah.
Well, from this face-off, a chance for Richer. Breaking right in. Here's Richer moving. Score! Richer in overtime. The Devils have won. The series is even, and it now becomes a best of 3.
Well,
you're clairvoyant.
No. We were just talking about it. The fact that it's that extra special bounce that he has in his skates. He has an ability to be able to stride it out and stay strong. His strides don't shorten for whatever reason, because he looked like he was about even with Sweeney. Sweeney saw him. I think Sweeney thought he had the angle, and then all of a sudden Richer just kicked it into overdrive, and this building went from excitement to nothing in 2 seconds. And Richer comes. Remember the first goal when Zalapukin scored and how far out Casey came? Once again, he's a gambling goaltender. If he's caught and he makes a play right there, I thought Sweeney thought he had him, and he doesn't even get a stick on Richer. And Stephane Richer ties this game up. Probably ties this series up. Gives the Devils a dramatic 5-4 overtime victory, only the 2nd overtime playoff victory in New Jersey Devil history.
There you see the celebration at the bench, and the smiles, and then the contrast. And back to square one, the 2 teams go. Tied at 2 games apiece, and it becomes a best of 3 on Stephane Richer's overtime goal. The 3rd time that he has won a Stanley Cup game in overtime, the 1st time as a Devil. The final score in OT at 14-19. The Devils 5 and the Bruins 4.
The power, the punishment, the pain. The ultimate sports spectacular. Now you can relive the excitement on home video with Top Rank's greatest knockouts. Volumes 1 and 2. Together on one full-length cassette. Legends like Hagler, Hearns, Arguello, Duran. 22 knockouts that changed boxing history. The courage, the champions, and the cheap shots. This is non-stop action, up close and in your face. Call now to order. The winner by a knockout. Top Rank's greatest knockouts, volumes 1 and 2. Together only $19.98. Don't miss the bell. Call now.
Call now to order Top Rank's greatest knockouts. This video makes the perfect gift. Sorry, no CODs. For faster delivery, please have your credit card ready and call 1-800-872-8600. That's 1-800-872-8600.
Paying for quality can be a difficult decision at first. But over time, it gets a lot easier to live with. Acura. Some things are worth the price.
In round 1, the Devils took their toe-to-toe matchup with the Sabres. Now they must overcome the swarming Bruins attack in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Devils and Bruins collide in crucial Game 5, live Monday only on Sports Channel. This week on Sports Channel, the Mets travel to Montreal for a 3-game series with the Expos. Find out if Dallas Green's crew can knock off their division rivals. The Mets and Expos, Monday and Wednesday at 7:30, live and exclusive on Sports Channel.
Scoreboard frozen to show 5:41 left in the sudden death overtime period. The first one, Stephane Richer scored the overtime winner. The Devils have it 5-4. The series tied at 2 and downstairs to Stan Fischler.
But one of the most priceless comments of this playoff season from a New Jersey Devil came from this guy, Bobby Halik, during the Marathon Buffalo game. He was smiling. He said he never had so much fun. Well, how much fun was this overtime?
Just about the same, because especially it was in the Boston Garden and we won. You know, it just doesn't get much better than that, and it was unbelievable.
You know, I thought it was remarkable in the overtime. The Bruins, to me, had the territorial advantage. And I was talking to Billy Guerin before the overtime started, and I said the formula, my Fischler formula is you got to have face-offs, luck, and goaltending. And Devils got the breaks, and then it came down to that big face-off. Now tell me what you were thinking. Tell me about this. We're going to take a look at it. I want to hear what Bobby Holik was thinking through this play.
First, I thought I'm going to, you know, Bruce came up to me and he said, how do you play the face-off? And I said, I think I'm going to go ahead because it was too close to the blue line. If I win it to our corner, we are stuck in our zone again. Then I look at Larry Robinson, and